charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one from 83 to the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one from 83 to the press. And 83 to the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2013.
It sure is. This is the podcast where we put on our time Ray-Bans and look back at a year in musical and cultural history through the lens of the ARIA charts.
Cultural.
Cultural, I mean, you know, technically it's culture.
It is technically culture.
If we stretch the definition fairly
Not all the
elastically.
songs are culture.
No, not in the capital C sense.
No.
Certainly. But yeah, and look at what was number one that year. So yeah, as you say, this year's 2013. And if you want to watch/listen to the stuff along with us, find the YouTube link in the description. That's a playlist with all the stuff that we're talking about for the year.
And their respective music videos,
Yep.
and some of them are worse than the songs.
Yes,
So
or more
better,
interesting.
or more
sometimes.
interesting than the
Yeah,
songs.
it's
Definitely where the
swings
people-
and
yeah.
roundabouts. Yeah.
But we are in a period now, Tom, where not all of them, but the vast majority of them have some product placement in there.
Oh, fucking oath they do. I'd forgotten how much there was. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's still like this because I'm not as au fait with the mainstream pop
Yeah.
charts these days. But yeah, I didn't really notice this happening. But because we've been going through it systematically,
Yeah.
geez, from the start of the aughts, it really
Ramps up. Really ramps up to the
Fucking
point
hell.
that in the future, when people watch video clips from 2013, it'll just appear like a TV commercial because it's more about how many sort of shots of cognac they can get in.
Yeah.
And Beats headphones, particularly, are fucking
It's
everywhere.
like archaeological landfill, just digging back through layers of shit. Oh, geez,
Exactly.
people really liked celebrity vodkas a lot at one
They
point.
certainly did. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what do you got to tell me before we dive into the songs?
What was happening in the world in 2013? A decade after we went to war with Saddam Hussein for possessing chemical weapons he didn't actually have,
Yeah.
Syrian President Fuckstein Shitlord Cuntflaps al-Assad was confirmed to have repeatedly used sarin gas against his own people. This time we said, heck, we'll let it slide,
Yep.
with Obama adopting the bros before hoes policy, the hoes in this case being the female civilian population of Syria, and also the men, and also the children.
Yeah.
A great big-ass meteor exploded over the city of Chelyabinsk, injuring 1,500 people and damaging 4,000 buildings, and also leading to some of the raddest cell phone camera video and dash cam footage I've ever seen of Russians just fully ignoring a fucking end-of-the-world-sized explosion going off above their car because they're on the way to get, I guess, to the, you know...
They're on the celebrity
The
vodka
kebab shop. That's right.
to go check out the meteor.
It was the most powerful meteor to strike Earth's atmosphere in over a century, and that, along with a coincidental flyby of a larger asteroid, prompted international concern regarding the vulnerability of the planet to meteor strikes and the ongoing quest for the Earth's best deep core driller. I know that's a touchy subject with you because you considered yourself the best deep core driller.
Yeah,
until
look, I
those
did.
Bruce Willis rumours started going around.
Yeah.
Nerds rejoiced as Sony released the PS4 and Microsoft released the latest in a series of increasingly stupidly named consoles, the Xbox One. I think their latest version is called the Xbox 505-69 Mountain Dew Extreme Baconator. Sorry, that's actually Elon Musk's latest illegitimate child. Sony's launch featured their usual period of fake scarcity and no launch games to speak of, a technique they're really stretching with the PS5. I think they're up to 3 years of that now.
That's good.
And in music news, Miley Cyrus decided that a virginal young foam finger needed to be taken on a field trip to Vagina Town, population her, and also that she definitely knew how to twerk in the same way that I definitely know how to breakdance. E.g., I sort of get the general idea, but I wouldn't be doing it in front of any black people or on a globally televised awards show while rubbing my ass on Robin Thicke. But yeah, I mean, that was clearly the biggest thing that happened in music that year.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of music, how about I shut up and we get on with what's actually happening?
Yeah, look, interestingly, after that, Miley Cyrus's twerking, Australia's own Iggy Azalea, one of my favourite rappers of all time, she came out and said, Miley didn't invent twerking, I invented twerking. So it's good that was cleared up.
Yes.
So nice
Which one of these two white 19-year-olds
invented twerking in 2012.
It's hard to say.
It's really hard to know, for sure.
Weirdly enough, it's funny to open with that because that is a topic that recurs multiple times throughout this year with various other things as well.
Indeed.
We'll get to that, so yeah.
Cool, alright, so straight off the bat, Tom, 7th of Jan for 2 weeks. It's more Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Wands?
Still
Fucking
don't know.
whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
Thrift Shop, we talked about it last week. Anything more you need to say about that?
No.
No.
know.
Well, there we go. Moving on from that, 21 Jan for what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4...
4 weeks?
I think it might be 5. Is it 4? 4. Yeah, 4 weeks. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis again, featuring Mary Lambert. Same Love.
Yes.
So Macklemore, he's knocked himself off the charts with another hit.
With another couple of collaborators.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a case of millimetre perfect timing from Macklemore, isn't it? We didn't address this in the last episode. We probably should have. Is he the new Vanilla Ice?
Well, they basically wear the same outfits, just that Vanilla paid full price back in the 80s, whereas Macklemore's stylist has op shop connections, clearly that's getting him the hand-me-downs 30 years on. Similarly, Macklemore's hair looks like if you took Vanilla Ice's aircraft carrier flat top, chucked some gravel in it and just gave him a noogie for about 5 minutes, you'd end up with it. So there are definitely some similarities.
Very similar, I would say. So if Macklemore is the new Vanilla Ice, which we're definitely saying he is, where does Ryan Lewis fit into the picture? Is he the new whoever produced Ice Ice Baby?
Yeah, well, what's the Ryan Lewis story, you ask? Let me point you to it. Once there was a really popular John Hughes movie about an interdimensional teenager with godlike powers called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 4 years later, some executives wanted to make a TV show using the character, but the studio wanted too much money, so they made a knockoff version instead, which was called Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Weirdly, it was way better than the official Ferris Bueller show, which came out at the same time, and 5,000 times better than Saved by the Bell, which remains ice-cold dog shit. Ryan Lewis is less interesting than Parker Lewis, but he does supposedly exist, although no one's ever actually seen him, Ben.
Really?
Some people believe that Macklemore might be just wiggling his finger like that kid in The Shining and pretending to be doing a character called Ryan Lewis. On the other hand, Ryan Lewis would have to be quite talented to have directed, so many videos. He attended Ferris High School.
Oh.
Seriously, see, coincidences, they're lining up. And at age 18, met Macklemore on MySpace, which is racking up the things to blame, shit music to blame on. Every year we go on from here. From whence their partnership began, going on to do producing, recording, engineering and mixing for all of the duo's music, as well as directing the music videos for Same Love, Thrift Shop, And We Danced, Other Side, Can't Hold Us, Irish Celebration, My Oh My, Victory Lap, Downtown, Brad Pitt's Cousin and White Walls, not the Between the Buried and Me one, this one, and designing promotional graphics. Some have called him a Renaissance man. Others have suggested maybe he should have been a music video director instead of a Macklemore enabler.
Yeah.
But either way, it's pretty impressive that he did basically everything except the rapping on Thrift Shop and this song up to the fucking CD covers, aged at this point 24 years old. I wasn't really doing much at that age, but he's been quiet since 2017 when the pair went on a hiatus, apart from a bit of production for Kesha and Hobo Johnson. Are you into Hobo Johnson?
I don't know who Hobo Johnson is. I hope that he pops up later in the podcast, though.
I suspect he's another white rapper. I'm a big fan of his song Subaru Crosstrek 15, although I may have dreamed it. Not quite sure.
They're often the best songs, the ones that you just dream up. You hear that new Kesha song, you realise it's just in your mind. It's not really
the video for Subaru Crosstrek doesn't feature any images of Hobo Johnson, so I'm guessing he's white from the fact that he wrote a song about a Subaru.
Ah, okay. Good.
As opposed to a Cadillac or something.
Yep. Now,
sure.
Is it a conspiracy theory that Ryan Lewis doesn't exist in much the same way that some people think Australia is not real? You know, there's some of those weirdos that are like Australia's
what
not
is
real.
it? Birds don't exist.
Birds don't exist. Australia's not real. You know, all that sort of stuff.
The
So
evidence is mounting up. I think
That Ryan
it's
Lewis
all
isn't
been laid out on MySpace.
yeah,
clearly.
well, for sure. I have to log in and check that out. I haven't seen him for a while. You're right. And you know, the fact that their collaboration has just sort of ceased to exist. I think sort of Macklemore just
Yeah.
couldn't keep the ruse up, is from what I understand.
Well, they went quiet for a bit, but then they came back. They had a big hit with that Downtown.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
we'll
that
have
was-
to talk about that at some stage.
Yeah,
right?
that seems like recently to me, but it's not, of course.
No.
That was like 2018 or something.
Probably. It's
Yeah.
more recent than this, though. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when this song replaced Thrift Shop at number 1 on the ARIA charts in January, Macklemore and Lewis became only the third act to replace themselves at the top of the ARIA charts.
Okay.
Madonna in 1985,
Yep.
Black Eyed Peas in 2009. So we've got one good one with Madonna, one shit one with the Black Eyed Peas. So Macklemore and Ryan Lewis are the tiebreaker here, Tom.
I'd put them somewhere in between those
somewhere
two
in between.
balls.
Not as good as Madonna, not as bad as the Black Eyed Peas. So
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So
Very
now,
few things are
this
like
this song itself, Tom. This is I guess it's sort of a bit of at the time. We've got to remember, flashback 10 years. Same-sex marriage was you couldn't get married in Australia,
No.
America, pretty much every country in the world. So this song was sort of like, I guess, dealing with those issues at
Yeah.
the time was quite big. So, as I said, millimetre perfect timing. They dropped this after the Thrift Shop, which everyone loved.
Yep.
Everyone was sort of talking about this. Hey, should two dudes be able to get married? Yep, sure. And then they went and rapped about it. They put in a rap song, and people went, okay, let's change the law because Macklemore's on board.
That's right.
He also performed this, I believe, at a rugby league grand final. Maybe it was this year, which I'm sure. Don't know whether the fans at the rugby league were all at the time on board
Sure.
with the same-sex marriage, particularly those ones from the Pacific Islands who refuse to do such things as wear Pride Week Guernseys because it doesn't align with their own religious values. So,
Sure.
good times. Anyway, so what about the song itself? What do you think about it? What do you think of this one?
It's not very good.
No, it's dog shit. But his rapping is terrible.
Yeah,
I got to say.
it's a kind of compared to Thrift Shop. It's a much more sort of downbeat sort of.
Yeah, that's
earnest-
a more fun song. This
Yeah.
is less fun.
It's not a sort of interestingly weird either. It's just kind of downbeat and sort of preachy and yeah. People don't like preachy pop music at the best of times. Generally, there's at least 50% of the population that just immediately switch off, no matter how good the song is. And if the song is, say, really lame white rap without an interesting hook or anything, then
Yeah.
you're down to about 5%. Although it's still number one, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a lot of people just felt like supporting the cause at the time. You know, it was very much in the news.
Yep.
You
Look,
know?
Macklemore and Ryan Lewis have a very, very familiar formula, Tom. They get in a guest star to do a bit of a chorus bit.
Yep.
In Thrift Shop, it was that guy going, I'm going to pop some threads, or whatever the fuck
Yep.
it was. In this one, it's Mary Lambert saying, I can't change even if I could.
Yeah.
Some bullshit about that. Not because being unable to change her sexuality even if she wanted, despite what those, gay conversion therapy weirdos say. They might disagree with Mary Lambert on that one. But so it does the hook. And I don't want to spoil it for the fans, but there's another Macklemore one later in this episode.
Yes.
And it's the same shit where it's just some dude coming in
Yeah.
and doing the
It
chorus.
is.
And
It's
then
the same formula.
so there's
yeah.
the hooky sort of chorus bit, and then the rest of the song is generally destroyed by Macklemore's substandard
Yeah.
rapping, which is
and the earnestness here makes it even harder to listen to, even
It
though
does.
it's a good message. But the fact that he's trying to say something sincere makes it more irritating to listen to just vocally than Thrift Shop, where at least the utter triviality of the
Yep.
subject matter matches his kind of half-assed,
yeah. The
Right.
question is, now that obviously same-sex marriage is legal in most places, probably not Saudi Arabia, I haven't checked, but I assume it's not, but outside of there, does that render this song redundant? No one ever has to listen to it ever again.
I would say so.
Yep.
Yeah, as you say, this was the first hip-hop song with any sort of success to promote same-sex recognition.
Yep.
And as a direct result of only this song,
Yep.
Washington and France went on to recognise same-sex marriage this year,
Yep.
with Australia following the customary 4 years later.
Yep.
I don't know about rappers, but this definitely outraged the kind of people currently shitting themselves about imaginary hermaphrodites performing forced gender reassignment surgery on their children in finger painting class.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, those people had to be momentarily annoyed about an issue that in no way affected their lives at all and would go on to in no way affect their lives into the present. You know,
correct. Yeah.
Where its total lack of impact is very much not felt by them.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I
No.
imagine the terror of a transgender person using a public toilet somewhere on the other side of the world will have a similar impact on their lives when it's 10 years later and that.
Well, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis could solve the dilemma
Exactly.
by getting back together and doing a rap song
Exactly.
about
Where are
transgender
they?
people need to use the toilet as well, and then everyone would be like, "Oh,
Yes.
fuck, of course."
Or
And then it'd
possibly
be fine.
collaboration with the Black Eyed Peas, as we know their song "Where Is the Love" is brought out in times of national emergency,
It is generally
global genocide, that sort of thing. They could probably solve the war in Ukraine right now if they just...
If they re-release that in Russia right now, Putin would he'd call the tanks back
That's
home, I'd
true.
say. So
That is true.
Will.i.am, I don't know why he's not doing that, to be honest. So
I mean, the only conclusion you can draw is that he enjoys watching people die,
he does enjoy
especially
war.
children.
I think Will.i.am probably owns, part interest in some of those military supply companies. So, look, I think he has an interest in the war. You're right. Now, we know Macklemore's from Seattle. We talked
Yep.
about that last week. The song features Seattle-based lesbian spoken word poet and singer Mary Lambert, as we've talked about.
Oh.
Now, she was picked out by a poet and producer, Hollis Wongware, who helped Macklemore with this album, and knew Lambert from poetry slams, Tom. Now, how many poetry slams have you participated in? How many have you been to?
I have actually participated in a few poetry slams. If you define poetry slam as a bunch of dorks reading poetry at a poetry night, then
What is a poetry slam? Is it an American thing? Do you have to say it in
I
a
think-
slam type fashion? Can you just read out a poem, or do you have to sort of be like, yo, does it have to be all...
I think it's American speak for a poetry night where there might be some black people there, basically, seems to be it.
Okay.
I mean, you could argue that there's a
So
sort
it's
of...
rapping, kind
Well,
of.
yeah, but
Could be.
without music and sort of...
So it
yeah.
could be. Does it have to have a social conscience? Is that sort of the
guess
component?
So, although, I mean, most poetry, poetry often has a social thing of some sort anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess the slam indicates that it's supposed to be more impactful and
Yep.
so forth, but yeah.
There you go. So look, they picked her up at a poetry slam, and as a result, this won Best Video with a social message at the 2013 MTV Music Awards. How many?
I imagine it was probably the only...
How many
it was
each year? How
them
many
versus
contenders
Rage
are-
Against the Machine, who were the only contender of the previous year and the 10 years before.
I mean, is that a category they have every year? Because you'd think someone could just come up and go, "Oh, fucking, let's do one about uranium mines or something," and so, well, they're the only guys that are with a social
I hope
conscience.
you're not suggesting that, say, Lady Gaga would manufacture some bullshit social message context just to get her name in the headlines bit.
Oh, she would never do that, definitely. She would claim that being forged with a motorcycle on an album cover, it's because she's the voice of a generation.
She wouldn't
but-
wear like a tofu bra and then say that was about same-sex marriage.
No. She wouldn't. She would never
Definitely
do that.
wouldn't do
she
that.
would never do that.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I didn't even know, frankly, that MTV had that category.
Oh, fuck who. They definitely did that year. But look, so Mix-a-Lot's obviously Seattle's finest rapper and always will be. That will never go away. Is Macklemore number 2 by default, or is there someone else?
Well, I
that we
hope
know
you
of?
haven't forgotten that Ryan Lewis is also from Seattle.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
You forgot about that, didn't you? So I'd either vote for him or for Nacho Picasso, purely
Oh.
on the strength of his
It's a
name.
good name, yeah.
Haven't heard any of his music, but I like his name.
It's pretty good, I'd say.
I do like the Hollis Wongware, though. I'm actually got some Wongware on at the
You
moment.
do?
It's
Is it
these,
like...
these
is it-
new elasticated track pants that I'm...
Is it an off-brand woo wear? Is it sort of like...
That's right, with a slightly more Asian bent.
Yeah, they've looked at Old Dirty Bastard and just went, that dude knows what's up. Let's
That's
rip
right.
off the woo wear. Lyrics. We sort of know what it's about. Did
Sure.
Macklemore, was he able to tease out any good lines, or is it just generally shit?
If I was gay, I'd think hip hop hates me. Have you read the YouTube comments lately? Man, that's gay gets dropped on the daily. We've become so numb to what we're saying. Our culture founded from oppression, yet we don't have acceptance for 'em. Call each other faggots behind the keys of a message board, a word rooted in hate, yet our genre still ignores it. Now, of course, my inner grade 9's first reaction is, that's some pretty gay rapping, you big queen. So clearly Macklemore might have a point there. Seriously, though, I think he does. I mean, much like the idle conversations of Gen X man-children, hip-hop's still totally rife with homophobia and misogyny.
Yeah.
Like, I think Lil Nas X is the first publicly gay rapper, and he only came out this decade, and it's his entire thing, which puts hip-hop at about the same level of sexual politics as professional rugby and South Park.
Yeah.
I think some people might even point out that Macklemore pulls an emphatic lyrical no homo in line 4 of his own song about how gayness is totally fine, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
No doubt.
Look, I'm guessing school kids don't call each other gay as much as we did. So what do they call each other instead? That's my question. What are these so-called participation trophy Gen Z going to call each other at school?
You can only call each other fuck sticks. That's all that's left, Tom. You can't say anything. You can't.
No.
Which is probably a good thing, I think. It forces kids to be more creative, though, because obviously,
that is true.
Back in the day, you're right. People probably threw gay around a lot, or Lady Gaga style. That's retarded. So obviously, we cut all of those things. Obviously for the better, and not deemed appropriate anymore. So yeah, kids have to think of some new shit.
I suppose there's always mum jokes, isn't there?
Oh, there's always mum jokes. Yep, for sure. There's a lot. I think there's still plenty you can find.
If I know kids, they'll figure out a workaround.
Yeah, they will. Definitely.
Sure.
All right. Anything else for that?
No. Did you have numbers or?
15. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis have 15 million.
Fuck.
Which is a lot.
That is
Mary
a lot,
Lambert,
considering they haven't done anything for 4 years.
Yeah, Mary Lambert has just under 300,000.
All right.
So probably off
She's
a bit
a
of this
poet,
song.
so-
Yeah, probably the poet. I don't know, is there any poetry slams up on Spotify? Do they do that? I know they're getting heavily into the podcast. Is it also I don't know. I'll have to look it out. Now, Tom, I'm going to set the scene for this year. They obviously stopped making CD singles either around this time or very close to.
We had
or
our first one last year. The first
and when they did make them, they obviously didn't make many of them because the price for this one, Tom, $16.55.
Shit, yeah.
So that's going to cost you just under $20. And the song's fucking awful.
They're turning into collector's items. At this
They
point.
are absolutely.
That's far more than it would have cost.
Oh, new. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
Definitely. So I was rifling around in the op shop, as you know, the other day, Tom, trying to find a copy of all these ones that are, worth $10 or more. I didn't find one, but I did find that Holly Valance CD single with the 2003 calendar still intact. So that's quite the find.
Are you telling me that basically, if anyone's listening to this, if you've got a CD single from 2012 or older, even if it's a scratched up thing, hang on to it because it might be
probably worth something.
That Joel Turner and the Modern Day Poets that you gave me, that I could be sitting on a retirement fund.
Exactly. Yeah. Just hold on to it, Tom. Don't sell it just yet. If you go on the internet and they say it's worth $10, just sit tight, and before you know it, it'll be 10, 20 grand.
What if I told you it was signed by the Modern Day Poets?
Well, exactly right. That's doubles the value at the very least. Cool. So up next, 18th of February, Tom, it's Pink featuring Nate Roos. Give me a reason.
Wow. Well, we've established that you're a huge Pink fan, Ben.
Yeah.
But what if I told you that in one track you could have both Pink and the lead vocalist from your second favourite band, Fun, full stop?
Yeah, exactly. Like, when something comes along, Tom, and you're pleasantly surprised. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, you might think, I don't really need another Predator movie, and then you told me, hey, look, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then you watch it and go, actually...
I mean, I did think that the last 4 times, and I was wrong. But, so
I
really,
did need another...
Fool me 4 times,
Yeah.
shame on me. Fool me 5 times, then I'm surprised.
But that happens with a lot of things, sequels or other things. You think, I don't need that in my life. And then you end up just reluctantly watching it going, actually, that was quite good. Or, when Lou Bega teamed up with the corpse of Scatman John and did a reworking of I'm the Scatman, and you think, I don't need that. And then you hear it and you go, actually, I did need that in my life. And it's pretty much the same with this song. I thought to myself, you know, I really don't need a duet between Pink and the vocalist of Fun. But then I heard the song and went, yeah, I really fucking don't need a duet between Pink and the vocalist of Fun.
So you're saying that it was nice to have your initial assumptions confirmed.
Confirmed.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised at how bad it was, because this sucks shit.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Look, it's super low energy for Pink, which
it's not a ballad, really. I mean, it sort of is. It's a sort of troubled love song, you know, like relationship in deep water, you know, which is a metaphor that they carry into the video clip.
fucking do. Now, you know that, you know, I tend to shit on every Pink song because I don't really like any of them. I'm not a big Pink fan. But at least the upbeat ones, you can get through them, and the videos are a bit quirky, and it's like, you know,
a sort of punky energy.
The 3.5 minutes that it takes to watch the one where Pink's like cutting down a tree or some shit, you know, because her husband cheated on her 15 years ago or some bullshit. You can get through them, but this one's just like, I don't know, it was a real slog for me.
Yeah.
Is Pink incapable of writing a song that isn't about something going sour in a relationship? I mean, she can't do it, can she?
It's weird. Like, we were talking about this last fucking episode.
Yeah.
For one thing, at this point, she's been in the same relationship with the dude, her partner.
They had a brief split for like...
Yeah, for a couple of months, and then they got back together. That was like 4 years ago. They're still together now.
And she's still dining out on this shit.
Yeah, she's still writing, you know, about relationships foundering. I mean, I suppose it's possible that their relationship was foundering at this time. You don't have to write about what's going on in your life. It's just, as you say, this seems to be the only topic that she writes about.
All she writes about, yeah. And
it's either I've broken up with you and I'm glad, I've broken up with you and I'm sad, or like this one, we're in the process of maybe breaking up.
Yeah.
The tension is killing me.
Or, you know, I'm about to break up with someone, so I'm going to go out with the girls and get shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Look, I didn't notice this last week, and I'm not sure why. It might be because this is a piano ballad, so it's a little bit more pronounced.
Yeah.
But the guy from Fun has some of the wackest vocals I've heard for some time. They're fucking annoying.
Yeah, that's also a recurring theme this year. Is
real shitty, annoying vocals.
Slightly affected...
Yeah.
Kind of indie vocals, because Fun are a real band, as we previously spoke. They're not a creation, and sometimes when that happens, you get a guy who's got you know, the kind of vocals that you wouldn't pick out of a lineup if you were a music industry executive working from first principles.
Yeah,
you know, you work with what you got. But then other times it seems like they're doing a kind of weird voice. They're putting on a strange voice, and he is a bit affected. I don't find him annoying as some other people that we're going to cover this year.
Oh, no. In most years, he'd be the most annoying vocalist by far, but not this year.
I know what you mean. Because there's not a lot going on in this song musically, it does lean fairly heavily on the back and forth of their vocals, which really does throw the spotlight on what he's doing.
How terrible they are, yeah. Look, the music video sucks as well. Pink is floating on a mattress, but not like an inflatable mattress.
No.
Just like a regular bed mattress. And those things aren't buoyant at all. So right off the bat, I'm not believing this is real.
I don't know. It looked a bit like some of my bedrooms from share house in
That's
Tasmania.
true.
Place I lived, which was basically on the water table next to the river.
You could get a bit of mattress just floating around from time to time. Turns out the dude from Fun couldn't make it to the video shoot, it appears, because for his part, it's just a close-up of his head on a TV, which is also floating in the water next to Pink. Did they not think that anyone would notice that he wasn't there? Oh, Pink, you sing this bit, and then for his bit, it'll just be on a TV screen next to you, and no one will actually notice that you're not really duetting. It's just you're just singing to a TV screen, and that's fucking dangerous. Did no one tell them about water and electricity?
Well, clearly not. Nor did they tell Pink's boyfriend. Well, I think it's a partner. She's making out with a guy on the share house mattress. Some dude with tats, who I'm guessing that's her motocross boyfriend, because one of the tats is a 2-foot-high back piece advertising Red Bull. Just kidding, sorry, it was Monster Energy.
Monster Energy.
You know, Pink likes to buck the system.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah. Apart from the OC health and safety violations, the video does feature a sort of dorky sing-along between Pink, dressed like a toilet roll cover from your nan's house, and Nate Ruess, who looks like if the Wahlberg brother they kept in an attic fucked middle-aged lesbian stand-up comedian Tig Notaro. So it does, but yeah, it's weird. It's cut into two bits. There's a bit with just them standing next to each other singing, and then there's the other weird cinematic.
He's on a TV screen.
Bit, yeah, with the floating in the bed thing, which is a little bit odd because the two parts don't really seem to mesh together. One of them is aiming for a completely different thing. He's just like, well, why have them standing next to each other singing? If you're going to put him on the TV, just put him on the TV.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, it was directed by Diane Martel, not Pink's usual director. Martel is another unsung journeyman video music creator who's done more shit than you could name. It just starts in the 80s and it just scrolls down to now. From Luther Vandross to Mariah Carey via Redman, LL Cool J, Franz Ferdinand, Insane Clown Posse and The Prodigy. So yeah, she's a real, she can do anything. Yeah, I couldn't find anything there weren't any massive standouts. Lots of famous artists on her list, but I'm thinking that
great videos.
She's not the person they get for the lead single off the thing. This is whatever this is.
Third
not
single, Michael Bay was busy.
Bit low on the budget. Well, what have you got? Well, I've got a flooded basement at my neighbour's place and an old mattress floating around that the smack addicts were sleeping on. What about that?
And the guy from Fun can't make it, so he's just pre-filmed some shit on his phone.
We'll chuck a TV in there and Pink can make out with her boyfriend.
So, the guy from Fun, he said, I'll just do the demo because I don't know about duets. That's a direct quote. And then Pink said, I totally tricked him into doing it and I'm so glad I was able to. I think he's very happy that he did it. I think it's a beautiful song and I'm really, really proud of it. So he was somehow tricked into being on this song. He didn't even want to do it. He just wrote the demo and sent it to Pink with his backing vocals and then she's like, I'll trick him into it. I don't know how she tricked. Would she just release the album? He's like, oh fuck, I'm on this thing now.
I mean, does that suggest that the guy from Fun is either uneasy about this level of fame or thinks that he's got, a whole new world of fame awaiting him? I suppose he has had 2 number 1 singles last year so far.
I think he just realised the song was whack as fuck and just went, I wrote this song and fucking hell, it's terrible. Pink said she'll do it though, so I'm going to get some money off it as well, and then I don't have to have my name attached to it. And the next thing you know, it's like fucking hell. That's why he's on the TV screen, because they've just stolen that footage from a different fucking music video he was in. So he doesn't even know he's in the music video probably. He just turns on his TV and he's like, oh, holy shit, I've been tricked into being in a Pink song. I reckon that's how most Pink collaborations happen. You're tricked into it. You don't know until you sort of turn on the radio one day and you go, what the fuck's this? Why am I doing a duet with Pink?
Yes, well, it seems like the only logical answer, doesn't it? Lyrically, this is written by Pink, Nate Ruiz, and producer Jeff Basker. The song is a pretty simple melodic sing-along about a floundering relationship. I think the idea is that the male and female vocals are coming at the relationship from different angles, e.g. one is saying, it's all over, it was nice knowing you, and the other one is saying, hey, this is just a rough patch, we can work it out. Right from the start, you were a thief, you stole my heart, and I, your willing victim, I let you see the parts of me that weren't all that pretty. And with every touch...
Asshole.
Clearly. And with every touch, you fixed them. Now you've been talking in your sleep, things you never say to me, tell me that you've had enough of our love. So she's married a plastic surgeon, but he's cheating on her with some chick who wanted a discount on some Mammoth cans.
Yep.
He comes back with the old Shaggy defence. I'm sorry, I don't understand where all of this is coming from. I thought we were fine. Your head's running wild again. My dear, we still have everything and it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
These days we call this gaslighting, and I'm sorry, but I expected better things from the lead singer of Fun, who looks like John Mulaney being stop-motion animated by Tim Burton. Sorry, I'll stop now. He's a weird-looking guy.
It's a fair thing. Like, what things do you think he was saying in the sleep that he wouldn't say to her? Like, sort of, do you want to go down and get a two-piece feed?
Huge cans, yeah, maybe.
And she's just like, why won't you take me to KFC?
Just like, well, because you're a vegan.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn it.
Yeah, exactly right.
I
Exactly.
assume she's a vegan.
Oh, probably. Look, we'll look into it for the next Pink song, which I'm sure there fucking will be one coming up.
I got to admit, I did not realise how huge I knew she was big in Australia because she would do those giant concert tours.
She'll play like 10 nights in a row at Rod Laver or some shit. So.
But U2 still play huge concerts in Australia, and they haven't been troubling the charts a lot since the 90s. Whereas Pink just every year.
People seem to love shitty songs about broken relationships with a quirky atmosphere.
Man alive. I mean, I thought to say we had better taste than this, but maybe I'm just imagining it.
We don't. 26 million
Yep.
on Spotify for Pink. Nate Ruiz has 150,000. Not that many, but of course, his main gig is the fun. So I'm sure the fun have a lot more than that. I don't even know has he done any other solo stuff? I didn't bother looking into it.
I don't think
Probably
so.
just assumed it was as bad as this. $11.56. So not as expensive as that Ryan Lewis and Macklemore thing.
Still
but it's
more
still
than
going to cost.
it would have cost.
Yeah, it's still going to cost you more than what? Could you get a sandwich and a coffee for that in Melbourne these days, Tom?
No.
You could get a sandwich or a coffee, but to get it's going to be hard for it to get a full lunch for that much. But I'm just thinking whether I'd rather this CD single or just probably just I'd take the.
I'd
lunch.
go the
I'd take
9
the
pieces for $9.95 at the Colonel, especially if hot and spicy was back.
Yeah, that's
that
true. You could probably get a $5 Domino's pizza or something, and then a latte is $6 these days. So that's 11. So yeah, you could probably do it. Anything else to say about this?
No, please let's.
All right. Up next, 25th of February for just the 1 week. It is. Is it pronounced Bauer?
I'm guessing it's Bauer.
Bauer.
Yeah.
With the Harlem Shake.
Yes, it was only 1 week, but it did have I wouldn't say it was Gangnam Style level, but it certainly had a bit of a global impact in America, and yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say straight off the bat. I was going to ask the question, have we had any viral hits yet? But probably Gangnam Style would classify as a viral sort of people sharing the video, going, "Oh, I'd watch this video on YouTube." This is sort of this is like a shittier version of that.
And we had a few. There was that bloody punk rocker with flowers in your hair. That was like a fake viral
That was
hit.
fake viral.
And then there were a couple of MySpace hits, whether you qualify that as viral or not.
I think this is
No, this was a cultural hit. Like there were people on. They did a version on The Simpsons. They did it on Good Morning America and stuff.
Exactly.
Which was a little bit weird, really.
It was because what's the Bauer story? Well, from what I could ascertain, he was producing electronic music since he was a kid, just chipping away in the bedroom. This is his first single, released as a free download to, I think, not a little fanfare. I don't think it was really took off. But a few months after its release, a dude by the name of Filthy Frank uploaded a clip of him and his friends dancing to this, doing the Harlem Shake in their room, I guess, in costumes.
I think Filthy Frank, weirdly, is a Japanese comedian guy who's got about 10 aliases, but apparently he's got a lot of fans as well because it was huge.
He does,
Took that from
super weirdly, Filthy Frank, you know what he did?
What?
He retired from being a YouTuber and became a pop singer, and we're going to have to talk about him in a few weeks.
Oh no, shit! Really?
Completely bizarre.
I've never really.
I was good. No, I didn't realise either because I was just having a look at the ARIA charts for coming up future episodes. And I was like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" Clicked on his Wikipedia and it said used to be a YouTuber by the name of Filthy Frank. Gave the game away to be a pop star. So anyway, so this dude released. It's basically him and his friends just fucking around. This is back when this is pre TikTok and spot like Instagram stories and all that sort of, like, Instagram existed, but I don't think it was a big video platform. So people would upload like short minute videos, I guess, on YouTube, and this is what he did. And showing the Harlem Shake really took off, got quite popular, and then other people started doing their own. Let's do a knockoff video of that, and then obviously.
Which is
viral-wise,
just
exactly, groundswell. The next thing you know, apparently at the very peak, several thousand Harlem Shake videos were being uploaded to YouTube every day.
Truly, it was the ice bucket challenge of its time.
Definitely. So it just racked up millions and millions and millions and millions of views on YouTube, and that was enough to project it to number one. Because the song entered the Billboard Hot 100 at 1, helped by a timely change with YouTube streaming data being incorporated onto the charts for the first time. So prior to that, YouTube streaming didn't count. It finally started to count just at the right time as this shit went ballistic, and ended up hitting up number one. So that's the Bauer story.
Oh, wow. So when Gangnam Style got to number one, that wasn't actually, they weren't counting YouTube views. That must have been actually from the old-fashioned way.
I think the thing with Gangnam Style is I think that the YouTube people went to watch the video, but then people went, oh, and then it took off on radio and other things. Whereas I think this seemed to be almost only through YouTube. Like, I don't think, well, I'll just say it now. We don't have to. There's no suspense, but there's no CDs for this for sale.
Oh,
they didn't end up making it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a real music video either.
No, exactly. So it seemed to take off just from that. So
Bauer isn't his real name, of course. His real name is Gary Busey. As you mentioned, Gary started producing at 13, although what that entails, we don't know. Perhaps he was editing Nokia ringtones on his
it could have been
blue iMac while she was catching up on Felicity episodes. It was 2013 after all. Anyway, 10 years later, he was DJing as part of the emerging trap scene and had a double platinum hit with this bad boy. I'll say it again, Ben. TikTok is the poor man's Vine.
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
No doubt.
I'm not sure why I'm saying that. I think it was because I deleted something which was was largely, as you say, down to people doing dances of this. But I think you're right. I don't think TikTok was even around then.
It wasn't, no.
Yeah.
But this seems to be what TikTok is now, just people doing copy.
Well, they were smart enough to realise.
This is pre-TikTok, but it's basically the same shit.
TikTok started in 2016.
Yep.
But I think Vine was already around. Vine started at the start of this year.
Yep.
So that probably would have been exactly the kind of thing that they were hoping to do. But
Yep.
I still hold with the statement that TikTok is the poor man's Vine. I don't know why I decided that needed to be said right here.
I think it does. It makes sense. So look, Bauer's basically got a TikTok hit pre-TikTok even existing, basically.
Yes.
Because the song itself is kind of pretty shit. The success of the song inspired New York rapper Azalea Banks to release a downloadable freestyle over the beat. So she released this. SoundCloud on 14th of Feb 2003. Bauer was less than enthusiastic about the unsolicited remix and had it removed from her SoundCloud, resulting in a Twitter argument between the two. Bauer explained that he'd planned to release a version of the song with Banks quite a while ago, but her verse wasn't up to scratch. He decided to go with the instrumental version of the song, which became a hit. She said something like, "She laid something on a Harlem Shake, and it was so-so. Didn't love it. This was a little while ago, and since all this video stuff happened, our plans changed. Because of that, we decided to just release the song on its own with no vocals. We told her, please don't release your version. She said, well, I'm going to put it online anyway. And we said, please don't. We really don't like it. And she did. And then Banks responded by saying, you don't fucking belong in hip-hop. You don't even know what the fucking Harlem Shake is.
Well,
is that a fair response?
I mean, she's a professional shit stirrer, but she does actually have a point.
She's not wrong.
No.
Yeah.
So this is called Harlem Shake because of a sample of the 2003 song Miller Time by Plastic Little, which just says, do the Harlem Shake. That's all. That's the full extent of it.
Yep.
The real Harlem Shake is a dance created in 1981 by a guy called Al B, which was originally called The Al B, and has been mentioned in heaps of hip-hop songs since then, not to mention appeared in several music videos. This song, by contrast, inspired the white person equivalent of all of that, e.g. a brief online trend of annoying teenagers doing a dance that was not the Harlem Shake to an EDM song made by a white American dude. I don't know what was in the water at the start of the 10s that caused the resurgence of the pop music dance trend.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird. Like, that went away sort of in the mid-90s, and then it's come back. In the space of 3 years, we've got the Dougie, the Harlem Shake, and the Gangnam Style, not to mention my 2011 dance, the Hot Prostate, which was famously banned in several backpackers' hostels across Burnie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's one of my favourites. Also, this song, written as an instrumental, thrown around for a few people. Obviously, that Azalea Banks chick did a bit
originally
of work on
released, as you said. I mean, it's a bit rich him telling her not to release it. This was originally a SoundCloud giveaway song.
Oh, exactly.
Like it was free.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was another guy, a rapper, Jim Jones, who said that he'd had the beat for a while and he was going to do something but didn't do it. But this is my favourite quote from his. He said, it had been out for a year before, I had it for a year before anyone had even heard it. It was going to be a record for Pauly D album from Jersey Shore. So...
Oh, God, remind me. Was Pauly D the DJ guy?
I can't really remember, but it's good to know that one of the dudes from the Jersey Shore was going to do an album. I don't think any of them had any musical talent from what I could ascertain. And it was going to be this song. So we could have been talking very much now about the Harlem Shake by one of the people from Jersey Shore, but we're not. So that's a bit sad, I think.
I'm sure they would have treated it with the cultural sensitivity that it deserved. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, Bauer hasn't troubled the charts since, but I'm sure he still gets to DJ all over the world as the dude that made the Harlem Shake.
Oh, I'm sure, yes. Look, as stated, the song doesn't have a video because it never, like you say, Bauer never even troubled the industry that much. But if you want to see what the Harlem Shake actually looks like, you can try the video for Original Harlem Shake by Wes Crave. Not Wes Craven, director of Nightmare on Elm Street, but Wes Crave, which features a whole bunch of the proper street dancing and is an absolute fucking irresistible banger of a song, by the way. I don't hate this song. It's just a kind of average sort of trap dance, sort of dance floor thing, fairly simply constructed. But the Original Harlem Shake by Wes Crave is a fucking irresistible banger. I would say, yeah, definitely more fun than this song. The dance itself is kind of a... Have you seen anyone do it?
Yep.
It's kind of a jerky, parallel-shouldered thing with floppy wrists and knees that looks a bit like a DTing street person getting an ice cube dropped down the back of their shirt.
Yeah.
It's quite a look. I'm not sure if it's inspired by someone going through alcohol withdrawal, but it certainly looks like it
does.
might be. But
Yep.
yeah, I'll try to get the link into the list if you want to watch that. But yeah, if you want a video that's better than a blank screen with Bauer written on it, then watch that instead.
Exactly. No lyrics, Tom, hey? Do the Harlem
just
Shake.
an incitement to do the Harlem Shake, which, as we now know, isn't much use if you don't have the faintest idea of what that looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you could spend 3 seconds Googling it and find out why, but why not just make some stupid shit up and upload it to Vine? That's what everyone else did. you know?
Exactly.
That'll get you on The Simpsons, apparently.
For sure, yeah.
Hand-animated version of just some random crap.
Indeed.
I must admit, I have not seen the actual... Did you watch the Filthy Frank one?
Oh, yeah. It only goes for 30 seconds. It's
I
just
somehow
some dudes
managed to
going,
miss it.
in a room.
Okay.
So it's basically... You look at that and go, this went viral? Are you fucking serious? So I guess it was a simpler time.
I mean, you see, that kind of goes against... Your theory was that people... that it was harder to get into YouTube back then, whereas nowadays you could just be a cat in a box on top of a fridge.
Exactly.
I think this 2013 is the changeover point to cat in a box on top of a fridge.
Yeah, definitely right. But yeah, I sort of looked at it and went, oh, okay, I guess maybe just people didn't have a lot to do that year. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Perhaps were Netflix still mailing out DVDs at that point? Was it sort of harder to stream stuff? I don't really know.
13. Yeah.
Hard to say. But look, Bauer's got 1.5 mil on the Spotify. I assume it's all Harlem Shake numbers. People probably got this on some playlists.
Like you say, I'm sure he's still a fucking performing DJ.
As I mentioned, none for sale. There's only a promo CDR available, which are none for sale at the moment, or a bootleg vinyl. And of course, bootlegs are prohibited from sale on Discogs, so you can't even buy that. So I don't know what to say. Anything else to say about this one?
No. What's up next? Something different.
Oh, there's 3 more weeks of Give Me a Fucking Reason. Pink featuring Nate Roos again, but after the 3 weeks of that, for a week, oh fuck me, it's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis again. This time featuring Ray Dalton.
Yes.
With Can't Hold Us.
Wow, just when you think he's gone, he's back.
People can't get enough of Macklemore in 2013.
Surely I did not know. I didn't know they had another hit with this.
Yeah,
thing.
I forgot about this one, and then I watched the music video. It's like there's like a pirate themed video, and like a boat. Just kind of fun, I guess. And
yeah.
And then there's the guy, Ray Dalton. He's the guy that's doing the hook on this one. So,
yes, as you
put
say.
Put your hands up like the ceiling can't hold us.
Yeah, they've dragged in another person who can actually sing to do.
Yeah, so he does that bit about how the ceiling can't hold them, whatever the fuck that means. And then the rest of the song is just Macklemore's rapping, which is, I think, even worse on this than the last one. I think I couldn't make out any of the words.
Personally, I think I enjoyed this more than the last one because it's a much weirder song.
That's true.
And
that is true.
Yeah,
it is better than the last one.
Same love. Same love. It's got a good message, but it's just so earnest and
garbage
and slow and boring. Yeah. In an interview, Macklemore, real name Benjamin Hammond Haggerty, said that Ryan Lewis had this epic song for a year before he felt confident enough to rap over it, because it had a sort of anthemic soccer stadium vibe to it. Ryan Lewis then added a whole bunch of cool musicians, horns, instrumentation, a rad distorted key solo, and the vocal stylings of Ray Dalton, making it even more epic in scope, not to mention 7 fucking minutes long.
Oh, it goes
Which
forever.
is about 4 minutes too long for a Macklemore song, but, you know... Yeah, I'm not saying it was a total failure. I just think it would have worked way better as a song without Macklemore's tepid raps about fuck all over the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, I've got a question for you, Ben.
Yeah.
As a famous rapper yourself in the Art of Seduction posse and the new metal stylings of John Bon Jovi,
Yep.
what should white people rap about, assuming they didn't grow up in a trailer park like Eminem?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. I think they should. I think when you look at hip hop as a whole, it's sort of a lot of people rap about, I guess, you know, their situation, their upbringing, things not being as good as they could be, and sort of things that I guess frustrate them or disappoint them or upset them. You look at NWA and they rapped a lot about what it was like growing up in the ghetto and the police brutality and drugs and poverty and sort of how they were trying to get out of that. So I think when you think of it in that sort of way, rapping, you know, hip hop should be about things that are in your immediate environment. So I think for most white people, probably what they need to be rapping about is the difficulty of doing formulas in Excel, just sort of general office bullshit.
Yes.
You know, lattes being $6 now instead of like $5, those sorts of things. The price of petrol, probably, that's frustrating. Wanting to put some lettuce in your burger and it costing $13. So probably just inflation pressures, you know, IT issues, something like that. So not being able to... you know, log into, you know, always have, maybe a rap about, you know, isn't it terrible how you know, you have to have a different password for all your things and you can never remember your password.
I could do 400 verses.
Packages getting lost, those sorts of things. I think they're the sort of things that white people should be rapping about.
Wasn't there a Louis Theroux episode where he... actually, hang on. Yes, there was, where he hung out with a rapper, and he said, "What should I rap about?"
Yep.
And the rapper said, "Look, you should rap about what you know."
Yep.
Yes. And
What did he rap about?
well, he rapped about what he knew. So the first verse is, "My money doesn't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. I want to see wiggle, wiggle for sure. It makes me want to dribble, dribble, you know. Riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it. I'm 6'2" in a compact, no slack, but luckily the seats go back."
Look,
So,
it's not horrible, but it's not great. It's about Macklemore quality, I'd say. So,
Shepherd's Bush, my compact push, Notting Hill Gate, my Fiat skates with a crate of Cabernet. Yes. So mostly he's talking about... This is what white rap would sound like if people sung about their middle-class upbringing.
yeah.
A lot of songs about making salads with your parents who, you know, have amicably divorced but both earn a decent amount of money at their academic positions. So probably that's why they don't do it very much.
bother.
Instead, they make up crazy shit like this.
Yep.
The video is pretty awesome, though, I reckon, this one's directed by Ryan Lewis and a couple of other dudes. It spans multiple continents, features skydiving, a huge flag flying from the top of the Seattle Space Needle, and black people getting crazy on tall ships, which I don't think I've ever seen before. I don't understand it, Ben. It's like they've got some sort of natural disinclination towards large historic sailing vessels. I can't figure it out, but, you know, apparently they got over that for this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want to see what it looks like if NWA were getting down on the top of the, you know, SS Pacific Crossing 1642, then there you are.
Absolutely. Look, I did like the tall ship element of this. That did make it a bit more fun.
This must have cost a fuckload.
Yeah, that's
like,
what...
He's on a beach in Australia at one point, you know, and then,
I did look at this and think they must have made a fuckload of money off the thrift shop and the other one because, Jesus Christ.
In the space of a year, no less, you know.
Definitely a big budget video. So, look, we've got that. That's good that we've got that forever.
Yeah, at least it looks interesting.
Yeah. Lyrical highlights?
Credited to Macklemore, Ryan Lewis, and gospel singer Ray Dalton. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking on who hit me. Get up, thrift shop, pimp strut walking, little bit of humble, little bit of cautious, somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby. Sweater game, no, you can't copy. Bad moonwalking, this here is our party.
Great.
Macklemore is straight into verse 1 with 3 big influences on his musical style. Fictional boxer from a movie made in 1976,
Yep.
multiple rapist, and Michael Jackson. So, unlike his hero Rocky, Macklemore can rhyme fast, but like Bill Cosby's sexual technique, the speed is not disguising a whole lot of excellent content that's going on inside it. You know?
Look, you could still drop Cosby's name in a song at this time, so you got him right. You got him just at the right time with this.
Much like Michael Jackson, there was still that 1% chance that he was innocent. Yeah.
Absolutely. R.I.P. at this stage.
R.I.P..
Definitely. Anything else to say about this?
No, let's move on.
Yeah,
from
no
the
more to say.
third fucking Macklemore song of the year.
So 15 mil for Macklemore, as we said, 2.8 for Ray Dalton. This will cost you $4.41. So this is the
Cheap one.
first one under $5.
Yeah, so if you got a single of this, just piff it out the window.
Yeah, it's just buy nothing, I think, still. All right, up next is Passenger with Let Her Go. Now, Tom, I fucking forgot about this. And
me too.
holy shit, it is terrible.
You really didn't like this
No.
one, did you? Would you describe this as puss rock, Ben?
Well, no, it's the folk revival, which is worse than puss rock.
Yeah.
The dude's voice is so annoying. I thought the guy from Fun was terrible, but this is real bad.
Yeah.
I've got no idea how anyone could listen to this without thinking, fucking hell, these vocals are terrible.
Yeah, as stated, it's that slightly affected thing again, where you think, is this really your voice? It's this, I don't know.
Let her go.
It's got a touch of country, a touch of folk, a touch of quiet loud, the song in general.
Yep.
And a touch of cutesy sort of Cat Stevens maybe influenced vocals. I'd say it's nice to hear real instruments being played by people who look like a band you'd see in a pub down the street. Like, none of them look flashy at all.
No.
But the song itself is about as thrilling as you'd expect the biggest hit of a band to be that call themselves Passenger,
Yep.
which is one of the dullest band names I've ever heard, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Look, the folk revival around this time,
fucking oath, I know.
100% of it was awful. I'm just going to say that. Here's what I'm going to say, Tom, and here's my hot take. A lot of people might not agree, but dude with acoustic guitar is not only the most boring music, it also sucks in a live setting. And for my mind, acoustic solo dude means one of two things. Number one, you're either a cunt and no one wants to work with you, or your music sucks and no one wants to work with you. Or two, you have no imagination, as, quote, stripped back, end quote, for me means someone who can't be fucked going the extra few steps to make it good. Get some fucking saxophone in there. That's all I'm saying. A guy in his bedroom just strumming away on the acoustic guitar going, that's a complete song. It's not a fucking complete song, okay? You got to get some drums on there. You got to get, some
guessing
keys, a bass.
You're not going to a lot of open mic nights, Ben.
Oh, it's all terrible. It's no good. It's no good. And that's the problem. People are not imaginative enough to think, that's okay. What if I put this on there? What if I did some, some horns?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the thing about Kanye. He's always tweaking. Kanye releases an album. He releases an album and it's out in the public domain, and then he's like, wait a minute, what if I put some car horns on there? What if I did this? He's always doing that.
Yeah.
Passenger's the reverse of that. He's just said, fucking hell, this will do.
Yeah.
And not this song per se, because there are drums in this and whatever, but I'm talking about the folk revival as a whole. It's generally just acoustic guitar solo shit. And
I mean, as Axl Rose demonstrated conclusively with Chinese Democracy,
yep.
The best way to improve music is to add more elements over a 10 to 15 year period.
Exactly.
And don't release it until you're absolutely satisfied that the guy with a KFC bucket on his head agrees that it's ready to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you've got two guitarists in the band, you don't have two guitar tracks on there. You have like 50 or 60 guitar tracks on there.
If he can do one cool shredding solo, you know what would improve that song?
Two,
4 or
three,
5
exactly.
other more incredible. Anyway,
Correct.
look, Passenger, unlike Buckethead, is basically one dude. Buckethead's clearly a rotating roster of dudes. Passenger's one dude, Mike Rosenberg from Brighton in the UK. He's prolific. He's done an album a year since 2007 and continues working today. For all his success, he still describes himself as a humble troubadour, has a big dumb beard and dresses like he's on his way to the laundromat. I guess when you're a folk singer-songwriter, there are some traditions that need to be upheld, or else everyone else at the open mic night gets to crop dust you mid-song on the way to the toilets, you know, to show their disrespect for your lack of a huge beard. Yeah.
Indeed. Now,
I don't make the rules, Ben.
no, you don't. You don't. Look, this is what Rosenberg had to say. In my mind, the song has two meanings. One, the first is quite literal, as I wrote it after a breakup. It's about letting it go.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger idea going on, and it's more about not really understanding or knowing what you have until it's gone. And I think everyone can definitely relate to that.
Sure.
Now,
No one's
he
ever
says
come up
two
with that
meanings.
before.
no one's ever come up with that. And he says two meanings, but aren't they just the same thing?
Yeah.
Isn't just one? The song's about breaking up with someone and then not realising what I had until they were gone.
That's
so to
right.
say that it has two distinct meanings is bullshit. This guy sucks. Now, Rosenberg, I feel partially responsible. Tom,
Yeah,
for this
I was
song.
not overly happy to read this.
Rosenberg was backstage after finishing a set at a university bar in Australia when he came up with this song. He was a support act for another band. His performance
John
was
Butler
met
Trio,
probably the John Butler Trio or Pete Murray
Pete Murray. Oh, yes. Who
Or,
could forget the
or-
singing ex-rugby player?
or Xavier Rudd, that guy doing some white didge work.
Yeah. So he was a support act for Xavier Rudd.
Xavier
He's
Rudd.
come backstage.
Who I have a personal vendetta with as well, but that's for another story at another time.
need to hear
Not,
about
I've,
that.
I've not actually met him, but I have a vendetta against his music. So anyway, so what happened was he was met with utter indifference.
Of course.
Of course, because his music's terrible, so that explains why he's met with utter indifference. So he came up with a song about his ex-girlfriend. He went backstage after the indifference, and he says the song just came pouring out of him. So in many ways, this is directly my fault. I'm sure I've seen some cunt like this at a uni bar, just up there strumming, going, and I've not clapped because it's fucking terrible. But if I had have clapped,
Yes.
and if everyone had have just given, the bare minimum of not sort of, wow, this is really good, you should keep pursuing this as a career,
Yeah.
but sort of a general
just
sort of
enough to validate
just
their
acknowledgement
existence.
that they
Yeah.
exist, then perhaps he would have gone off stage, he would have felt satisfied with his performance, he wouldn't have written this song, and then I would never have had to have heard it, and I would be unfamiliar with the work of Passenger. But
Yeah.
it is a fine line, as you hope the indifference will make them realise that they suck and quit music. So there's that.
Yeah.
But then, but then they might
You
go
don't
and
wanna
write,
inspire them to
to write a song like this that goes on the radio. So it's really, really hard to know. Do you clap too much? They keep going.
Yeah.
Don't clap enough. They write this song. So
No.
what is the correct level of clapping? I can't tell you. But all I know is that people in Australia should have clapped a little bit more for Passenger.
Yes, well, yeah. I mean, he told Elle magazine for some reason. I can't really explain how much of a shock it was. I spent 5 years busking, playing street gigs, and travelling around making money, no money at all. Like, as I mentioned before, this is, he's been writing albums for 5 years, playing at tiny venues and tiny pubs around Europe and Australia. So it wasn't even in my universe for it to happen, e.g. big success.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel possible for me to have a song on the radio, let alone something that was going to turn into this absolute sort of global monster. So it was such a flipping shock.
Yeah.
So from busking on the street, the song climbs to 1 million downloads and finally to the heights of the ultimate American artistic achievement, being used in a Budweiser commercial about a cute puppy that aired during the 2014 Super Bowl.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's made it. You've made it when you're on a Super Bowl ad. so it's
Truly,
fantastic.
yes.
That would have made the ad pretty boring, though, to have this song playing. So.
I was going to say, it doesn't really sound like cute puppy
No,
material
it
to
doesn't.
me,
It
but
doesn't. So, look, the song first got exposure in the Netherlands after a Dutch radio DJ heard the track in a cafe. And within 3 weeks of it being in the radio, it was #1 in Holland. Whenever I hear this in a cafe, I immediately leave the cafe, then call in a bomb threat, then claim I was hospitalised with extreme food poisoning from the cafe in the hope of getting it permanently shut down. So, look, he's still making music today, as you said, Tom. He's an album a year, you say, sort of since 2007. So
yes.
So his album Birds That Flew and The Ships That Sailed came out in April this year. So if you like really excruciating vocal techniques, check it out. I assume...
I would say... I mean, I agree with you. It is an annoying voice, but I would say it's no more annoying than the equally affected vocal talents of Kings of Leon or Mumford and Sons, who are also part of this fucking irritating one hit every couple of years folk revival that we've been discussing over the last few years.
And hot take, Tom, Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, yes, sure, but he's a grunge person, but yeah. I mean, what is it, do you think, about these types of vocals that annoys you so much? Are you suspecting that he's deliberately singing that way, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, I know some people accused Bob Dylan of doing that when he came out, you know, way back in the 60s, and of course they were totally right. He's a fraud and should be kicked out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Blonde on Blonde, my ass bin. I listened to that once, and there was no lesbian porn to be heard anywhere on it.
It's crazy, yeah.
And he started out as a fucking folk singer too, you know. I'm really seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I don't know what it is necessarily, but I think it's just this sort of... It is the affected vocals. I'd just rather someone just come out, and if you don't have a great voice, that's better than... I think it feels like you're trying to hide something or trying to do... Because this dude, I guarantee you, he doesn't talk like this, so...
No. I mean, I suppose you could say, like, he's...
Sounds like a child as well.
He's a Brit who's been living in Australia and travelling around Europe for 5 years and is singing a song for Americans. So maybe he's got that transatlantic thing. But yeah, I know what you mean. It still doesn't explain his weird delivery.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
This must have some great lyrics, though.
Look, this is definitely from the UK artistic school of, in order to be taken seriously, you need to be moping and suffering and white, obviously. Well, you only need the light when it's burning low, only miss the sun when it starts to snow, only know you love her when you let her go, only know you've been high when you're feeling low, only hate the road when you're missing home. Mm-hmm. Now, you kind of get the vibe he's going for, you know, don't know what you've got till it's gone, as Joni Mitchell once said in a better song. But the examples he's using don't really support his argument, if you think about them for more than a few seconds.
Yep.
Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. That doesn't work in either a literal, emotional, or pharmaceutical sense.
No.
Similarly, later on he talks about staring at the bottom of your glass, hoping one day you'll make a dream last, but dreams come slow and they go so fast. Again, you get the vibe he's going for, but he doesn't mean dreams go fast. He means the thing he's dreaming about goes fast, e.g. this woman that he's lost, who is apparently what the Poms call a right tasty bit of crumpet governor. Dreams themselves, both the literal or figurative kind, come immediately whether you want them to or not, and are almost impossible to fucking get rid of. I don't know about you, but I can still remember things I dreamt from childhood, and in the sort of daydream aspirational sense, I will certainly die wishing I was doing something cooler, like not dying for a start.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's that sort of lack of specificity, and I mean, if you're a singer-songwriter, which is what this basically is, this song, it's, you know, it's a singer-songwriter with a backing band, you know, it's a jacked up version of a, you know, a fucking open mic song. A folky kind of song. If you're going for that, then that sort of specificity and emotional connection is all you have, really, because you don't have much in the way of, you know, crazy musical production or white hot riffs.
There's nothing here.
So if you can't succinctly convey emotion and that sort of thing, then really what the fuck are you doing with this, you know? Maybe that's why he put out 5 albums before this happened.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly. Look, I don't know, Tom. When I listen to those lyrics, maybe it's just like rain on your wedding day. I'm not really sure.
I mean, if you heard someone busking this in a train station while you were walking past, you'd probably go, and you'd never heard the song, you'd probably think, either, that's a cover of something, or you might go, that's all right. But you would not go, wow, this deserves the full,
I wouldn't stop. I'd
record
just keep-
company
I would just keep
treatment.
going.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. And we also should point out, as you mentioned, Tommy, released 5 albums before this. Passenger was originally a band. And then all the other people...
were they?
Yeah, and then everyone else just left and went, I don't want to be
wow.
fucking part of this
That
anymore.
makes more sense.
'Cause
I
it's so
wondered why
terrible.
he called himself Passenger.
He just kept the name. So he's like, I'm going to be a solo artist using this name now.
So as the albums went on and the years went past and they had zero success,
And everyone in the band realised
They'll
how shit the
gradually-
music was and just went, I'm fucking out of here. And he's like... And then he... So here's the thing, Tom. The other members of the band has left, and Passenger, the guy, he's gone and... Oh, I need someone to play bass in the band, and then
Yep.
he's played them the music, and he can't find anyone that's willing to join. He can't. The UK has 60 million people. He's door knocking. I'm in a band. Does anyone play bass? He's going on whatever the Facebook or Craigslist saying, join my band. I've got a record deal. I've released 5 albums. Couldn't get any fucking takers to join this shit because it's so bad. So then he had to go solo. So I think that speaks for itself for me.
there's there must be some weird way that this song got heard.
That
You
Dutch
know.
fucking DJ, I blame the Dutch. But
Yeah.
they usually love the Eurobeat, so I'm surprised that the Dutch guy in the cafe wasn't just like, this
Oh,
sucks.
sorry.
He needs the Eurobeats. They love the Eurobeats.
Did you actually read that out?
Yes,
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yep.
I must have been trying to bring up something on the internet.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yes. No, you're right.
So
Yeah,
the
there you go.
Dutch dude found it and played it, and then it took off in the Netherlands, and then it spread like wildfire. But
Oh, that was when you were going to call it a bomb threat. Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I
Um,
missed the word Dutch. That's all.
But,
yeah, no.
they're
Often,
usually more of a fan of like your 2 Unlimiteds or that sort of or your
Yeah,
Ice MC. So
yeah.
I'm surprised that this got much.
Tiesto or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's all the
Yeah.
high strength weed and mushrooms. They
I'd
take.
say so.
Yeah, it is kind of often when you look up the stories of how somebody got discovered, it's just really mundane. But that's vague, slightly more interesting than I was thinking of. But yeah, it still doesn't really explain it.
It doesn't.
Anyway.
Look, Passenger.
who have we got
He's
next?
got 11 million listeners on
Fuck,
Spotify. So
wow.
this must be on some playlist of like shittest songs. of all
Well, I
time
mean,
or
as
something.
we said, he puts out an album every
does,
year.
yeah, that's
if you
true.
do that, people are gonna,
Yeah, look-
keep in touch with you.
He's a quantity, not quality man, and I respect that. So good on you, Passenger. This will cost you $7.52. Do not pay that much money for this. You can just watch it for free on YouTube.
I
So
respect his persistence. I
Yeah.
do because
Oh.
I lack that. I respect the ability to watch everyone else in the band go fuck this shit and then go no.
I'm out.
I'm
just a
gonna,
one-man band.
It's still something could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, who's
Up
next?
next for 1 week, it's Daft Punk featuring Pharrell. Get Lucky, Tom.
With Nile Rodgers on the guitar. Yes.
Now, only 1 week for this, which I was surprised at, because I remember this being extremely popular at the time. It seemed to be everywhere.
It was.
Shops, radio, TV, ads, all over the place. Obviously, though, it was hard for it to get to number 1 with that fucking Passenger bullshit dominating the
Yes.
airways for so long.
Yeah, not to mention the 17th single from Macklemore featuring Ryan Lewis.
Exactly.
Look, this is a fucking jam, I have to say. It's a crime that it took this long for Daft Punk to get on the ARIA number 1 list, but at least they managed it once before they broke up,
Yeah.
with a little help from old Pharrell Williams,
Yeah.
who at this point is about 9 years into a decade-long hot streak, which will shortly
yeah.
come to an end for reasons that may become apparent later on in this episode. Interestingly, this is a rare case where he wasn't doing any production.
No.
They just wanted him for his admittedly really cool vocals
Yeah.
and his moose-sized Canadian Mountie hat.
Yeah, definitely.
He brings to the party quite literally. It's a bit less of a dance floor banger than their earlier stuff. It's more in line with the 70s Giorgio Moroder flavoured electro funk
Yep.
of the rest of the Random Access Memories album. Now, there's a fucking great title, Passenger, you dildo. I'm also a big fan of the song Lose Yourself to Dance from this album, which was, I think that was the other single. And that also features Pharrell doing the job of a real-life vocal sample and also features another sick-ass Nile Rodgers funky guitar riff thing.
Yep.
Yeah. But what did you think?
Yeah, it's really good. It's the best song so far, but that's faint praise. That's
That's true. The bar is not
But
high.
yeah, look, I think this is one. Occasionally, songs that you do hear everywhere, you're like, for fuck's sake. But this is one that's like, it's pretty catchy.
It's
and yeah,
rad, isn't it?
Found it really good. Yeah, obviously Daft Punk. Yeah, as you said, sort of. I was kind of surprised because they do have a lot of other songs that, in my memory, are sort of like One More Time and
Yeah.
that are sort of like big hits that I just remember hearing a lot,
Yeah.
just going, oh, so I'm sort of surprised. But I guess it was timing because as we sort of see, there's a bit of a Eurobeats revival coming up. I think there's a few more dance songs maybe later this year. And
Yeah.
maybe some of their earlier songs, they weren't quite the on the mainstream charts. The sort of dance
No.
stuff wasn't quite there.
No,
Plus-
it took longer for the Americans to get onto them
Yep.
than like I think a lot of Americans had never even heard of them until they worked with Kanye West, which was a few years earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though they'd had massive hits in Europe on the dance charts.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but yeah.
And they weren't doing the Eurobeat like white like chick doing the vocals.
No,
black
they
dude
weren't
doing the rap.
They
weren't
they
doing
were post that.
because it was
Yeah.
So because a lot of when they weren't getting guest stars in like Pharrell here, most of their vocals are extremely processed and sort
Yeah.
of robot-y sounding.
They started off with the sort of early 80s, that sort of retro style. Then they moved back around. At this point, they'd sort of cycled back around to their own influences, which were the sort of Marauder influenced, as I've already covered, also the title song for the children's cartoon Ulysses 31, the
Yeah.
French-Japanese thing, which just explains their entire career. I'm not kidding you. But, yeah, which was basically what Marauder was doing back then was kind of like he was building the building blocks of what would become EDM later.
Yeah.
But because of the limitations of the technology, a lot of the stuff he was doing was with real instruments and real vocals
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So they've kind of come back around to this. So this is pretty much a dance song, but all the instruments are live instruments
Yeah.
and the vocals are real, Pharrell doing real vocals and that sort of thing. Yeah. And it pays off because it kind of works on both levels. Like, you can dance to this if you want, but it's not as sort of irritating and plasticky sounding as a lot of like your Bauer Harlem Shake, for instance, comes
Yeah.
across to someone who doesn't listen to dance music all the time. Yeah.
because they're proper dance DJs. They're not like it's like what we
Yes,
saw with
yeah.
Will I Am when he just went, I'm gonna be a dance DJ now. And it's like, well, this is fucking garbage
Yeah.
because you don't really know what you're
Yeah.
doing. So because it's about as you said, they probably older stuff was more sample based and they moved into
Yeah.
live instrumentation. For particularly this album, but I mean that's the
Yeah.
thing. I guess you sort of you don't want to do the same thing forever, and clearly they didn't. This is quite, I guess, a departure musically. So I don't know whether old fans were like, oh, they're not as dancey as they used to be or something.
I
But
think it was still a big success. I think it was still,
Yeah.
they still sold a lot.
you can still go see them dress up as robots and be like,
Yes.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So
The video is not bad. It's very minimal. You've probably watched it as
Yeah.
well. The band's just in suits, playing lucite instruments, sort of retro video flare effects on all that sort of star-shaped lighting effect
Yeah.
that they used to have in the 70s. I don't know if it's just smearing Vaseline all over the lens or whatever. It's slightly less cool if you imagine them doing it in a green basement for the background overlay sort of screen effect, but never mind. It won Record of the Year at the Grammys, which meant that, I think slightly unexpectedly perhaps, when you see what they were up against, which were people like Taylor Swift and so forth, which meant that the robots went up on stage with Pharrell and the band to collect the award, thus revealing a slight design flaw with their 65 grand helmets, e.g. that they can't actually talk in them.
Okay.
So you'd think that for 65 grand you could get a kid's toy vocoder thing in
You'd
there,
think so, yeah.
or a wacky voice effect, or that machine from Scream that makes you sound like Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
But I guess not. Instead, Pharrell, on the spot, just makes up a bunch of shit that they're both thankful for. The country of France, Nile Rodgers, God, and the people. That's it. That's all he can come up with.
Right.
But he plays it cool though. He doesn't get flustered. Then they won the Grammy for Best Album at the same awards. Producer Paul Williams accepted it on their behalf and thanked the concept of gay marriage,
Oh, there you go.
as embodied in a not particularly good song by Macklemore, which lost to them.
Oh, no.
I mean, at least it stopped Macklemore from getting Best Album.
Yeah, absolutely,
Or
yeah.
Sarah Bareilles, whoever the fuck that was.
Indeed.
I mean, I know you did like this, but I was wondering, were you disappointed that it wasn't a 45-minute long cover of the full album "Get Lucky" by the Choir Boys?
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
Kicking off
definitely.
with "Working for the Weekend."
Yeah. I would have preferred that, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't. Everybody's working for the weekend. Yeah, yeah, it's a great track.
Great album cover too. It's just a giant close up of an arse in pink vinyl
Yep.
pants. And then if you look a bit closer, you realise, oh, it's a man's ass.
Oh yeah. Loverboy, they were very subversive. So
They
it's
sure
great.
were.
What about the lyrics?
Well, the lyrics were never really the point of Daft Punk songs.
No.
But outside the cycling chorus, Pharrell chucks in a few spacey postulates to go with the 70s sort of retro vibe. Like the legend of the Phoenix, all ends with beginnings. What keeps the planet spinning? The force from the beginning. Now let's go home and do coke off a glass cube in my beanbag only sex pad. I think
Yeah, I think that's it.
that was the subtext. But yeah.
I think you're right. You got a dancey song. The chorus is so catchy. The verses don't really matter. He could have fucking said anything,
No.
I think, and people would have just been waiting for the hooky.
Yeah, you can see he learned a bit from it as well because around about this time too, he had a massive hit with that "Happy Clap
yeah.
Along" with it, which is kind of like this sort of Daft Punk song minus their rad
Yeah.
beats, but it has that same sort of looping dumb chorus that gets permanently lodged in your fucking brain.
Exactly.
So
That was
don't
big.
say. I'll say that for Pharrell. He does seem to learn stuff off the people that he works with. He's not
no
some
doubt.
guy who inflicts his sound on whoever he works with.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Cool. All right. Who have we got next?
So sorry, real quick, 19 million
yeah.
for Daft Punk. 30.
9 million? That's not bad.
Yeah, it's good. They're still, I mean,
7 million less than Pink, which is not ideal.
But they're not a going concern though.
No,
anymore, are they?
true,
So,
true, no.
32 million for Pharrell, which doesn't surprise me. He's got fucking hits all
he's
over the
on
place.
Everything.
And that's just him. Like, it doesn't even include
Nerd
Neptune.
or-
Yeah, Nerd or whatever other shit he
Neptune.
does. This is going to cost you $28.91. So that's a lot.
That actually is a collector's item.
Yeah,
if
there
I
you go.
saw this, I'd buy it for sure.
Pick that one up. Pick that one up. Good times. All right. Up next, it is Pharrell's back. This time he's
sure
teaming
is.
up with T.I. and Robin Thicke. Blurred Lines.
Fucking 8 weeks.
8 weeks. So here we
this
are.
was a big
Here
bastard.
we are.
Yeah.
Robin Thicke's Rape Anthem, 8 weeks at number one. You'd assume that of the 2 number one collaboration singles that Pharrell was involved with this year, this would be the one he's most proud of, Tom.
I could only think, that it would be. Surely.
Absolutely.
I can't think of any reason why he wouldn't like this.
No. Now, who's your favourite member of the Thicke family? Is it Robin Thicke or is it his dad, Alan Thicke?
Well, I'm a big fan of Nolene Thicke.
Okay.
Nobody's ever heard of her because she's not a total cunt.
Oh, okay,
So
there
she
you
just went quietly into the background.
Yeah, look, everyone loves Alan Thicke as the dad in the Growing Pains, obviously. I mean, I know I did. But my favourite work
Possibly
of his...
my least favourite 80s sitcom, I have to say. It might be the most preachy and annoying one,
it's
which
got-
is a pretty fucking high bar. And that it also had that twat who went on to be that
Kurt Cameron.
born-again Christian
Yeah.
nutbag. Yeah.
He's got a Christmas film from a few years ago, which is one of the worst films I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bad films, Tom. So there you go.
There's a certain wholesomeness line with those fucking 80s sitcoms where once they'd crossed this line, you just know that something horrible's going on behind the scenes.
No doubt. It's all
The
Christian
Cosby
action.
Show.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Yeah.
So look, so people loved him in Growing Pains, but my favourite work of Alan Thicke is as the host of the TV series Animal Miracles.
Ah, right.
Great show, Tom. It just follows all kinds of miracles in the animal world. So, for example, I just selected an episode at random, Tom. A Canadian police dog faces a drunken gunman on a crowded schoolyard.
Ooh, wow.
So that's great. A
drunken gunman.
a young girl affected with spina bifida forms a strong bond with a 32-year-old horse.
Okay.
A manatee is rescued at SeaWorld, and an aging English Mastiff saves his diabetic owner from going into insulin shock. So these are the types of things that you get Alan Thicke just sort of tying it all together, and just a really great show. Anyway, back to the song though. Back to the song itself. This is the first single off Robin Thicke's 6th album.
Yeah.
6th. I had no idea who he really was before this.
No, weirdly, I know what you mean, neither did I, but what I sort of subsequently realised was that he had a whole sort of separate career on the R&B
Yes,
charts. He was
correct.
like the white rap equivalent of, an R&B success.
Yeah, well, that's what I sort of looked at because I went back through his discography and checked it out, and in the sort of R&B and I guess adult R&B charts, he'd had a good, decade or longer career in that sort of thing where
6 albums.
He hadn't troubled the mainstream charts, but sort of you're right in that white, sort of like a Boys to Men type ensemble, like the white equivalent of that. I guess
wasn't his wife who subsequently left him for reasons that I can't imagine. She was connected to that as well.
I believe
think she
so.
had an R&B adjacent career too. So.
Yeah. So look, he was obviously popular. The fact that he's working with Pharrell on this suggests that he obviously had some sort of notoriety. Yep, for sure. And you'd think Pharrell's probably good friends with Kirk Cameron as well, maybe. So,
I would assume so.
So just off the back of this, so I don't know. But look, it turns out, as I said, in being involved in music from a young age. So he started off when he was a teenager.
Wow. Okay.
And did this R&B stuff. As we said, no one really cares about it as much in Australia as well. So that's the other thing.
Not since the 90s, no.
Yeah. But the thing about Robin Thicke is that when you think of, a lot of people talk about these things, the great musical what ifs, Tom.
Sure.
So, what springs to mind? Is there anything that springs to mind for you, off the top of your head? I'm sort of thinking about people talk about, the Metallica had a bus crash and Cliff Burton, what if he hadn't have died? How would, further Metallica albums have sounded? What if, the Beach Boys had have completed their album Smile back in the 60s rather than sort of, sitting on it for 50 years when they were sort of doing that?
What if Courtney Love had been the front woman for Faith No More?
Exactly right. What if Slash had joined Poison? Those sorts. So many different musical what ifs that talk about.
Tori Amos had stuck with the hair metal band Why Can't Tori Read?
There's all kinds of crazy albums that would have come into our lives that we don't have today because of certain collaborations that didn't occur or things that should have happened and maybe didn't for whatever reason. And as you know, Tom, my favourite hip hop album of all time, and it's probably one of yours as well, I believe, is One Stop Carnival by Brian Austin Green.
Sure.
The album that single-handedly got Megan Fox into bed. So we all love Brian Austin Green, the man who starred in, he's very well known for one of the finest television series of all time. Of course, I'm talking about the Sarah Connor Chronicles, Tom, the Terminator TV show that tried to answer that question posed by researchers in robotics or AI ethicists. Is it okay for a teenage boy to bang a 20-something cyborg? So that's sort of what that show posed.
Yeah.
Did they answer it? They didn't. I'm not really sure. But Brian Austin Green was in that. Great actor, but also a great musician. And Brian Austin Green, Tom, the reason I bring him up is because in the early 90s, he had a hip-hop group called Think Twice with Robin Thicke.
Oh, wow. God, they both must have been fairly young at that stage.
Absolutely. Now, sadly, Think Twice never recorded any music despite their lofty ambitions and celebrity connections.
Yes.
So for me, that's probably my big musical what if.
Yes.
You've got Brian Austin Green, One Stop Carnival, greatest album in hip-hop, some say. You've got Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines, Magic. What if those two had come together and released a hip-hop album? I can only imagine the One Stop Carnival rap with, the lovely, R&B touch of Robin Thicke. Could have been the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, it's a bit like that never finished Subset album that combined Sir Mix-a-Lot with the Presidents of the USA.
Exactly.
Find out what would it sound like if the guy who wrote Baby Got Back and Put 'Em Up on the Glass had a bit of Little Blue June Buggy mixed into his...
Yeah, that's actually, that might almost top this Robin Thicke one, hey? I mean, Robin Thicke and Brian Austin Green is good.
I never got to hear One Stop Carnival, so I don't know, maybe Brian Austin Green X90210 was the great undiscovered white rapper of the 90s.
Oh, I think he was. We'll definitely check that out. But yeah, I forgot about Sir Mix-a-Lot and the Presidents. That would be very, very good.
Sure, you would think that would have popped in my head when you actually asked me the question. But yeah.
That's all right.
Look, this was a slightly less well-received Pharrell effort than his work with Daft Punk. Although the song's controversy only came a fair bit afterwards. It's worth pointing that out for the benefit of historical record. Before that, this was nominated for Best Song at the Grammys, Thankfully, Daft Punk shouldered it out of the way. But the same year, the song was also memorably performed at the MTV VMAs in, I understand, I think it's your personal favourite awards show performance of all time.
Yeah, it is, Tom.
The bit I'd forgotten about was the bit before he appears, which was all the Miley shit at the start with the giant teddy bears and stuff. I'd forgotten all that stuff. Like most MTV performances, the annoying bit is not the controversy, it's that they're usually crappy, weird, stilted versions of the actual song to make room for the twerking, the 100-foot teddy bears and pseudo-lesbotic pash-offs.
Yeah, look, exactly. So, look, you're right about that. So they tried to get, I believe it was this song, Blurred Lines, and another song of Miley's or Robin.
Oh, there's several others.
It's
like a fucking medley, except they've only got room for about 20 seconds of each song. It's just, it's an overstuffed sausage, you know.
Yeah, now look, the thing about the VMA performance is, Tom, that as you mentioned, there's sexually suggestive dancing from Miley Cyrus with Robin Thicke and the Foam Finger. I believe
eventually
she's it looks like at one point I think she's trying to stick the foam finger up her own vagina.
Pretty much immediately.
Almost immediately.
She's doing that fucking annoying tongue thing she did for about 4 consecutive years.
She's grinding on Robin Thicke's dick, I think, for a good part. And look, the thing about the performance is it was controversial, and I know that I think Miley had probably said something about it, Robin Thicke had said something about it, the VMAs had said something about it, other musicians, media outlets, parent groups. Everyone seemed to have a sort of a comment about, whether this is the sort of thing we should have on TV for our kids. What, is any lines been overcrossed? Is it just performance? Are people able to do whatever they want? And all those opinions are fine. They're fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But for me, Tom, there's only one person that I care about their view, and that's a guy by the name of Steve Chemler. He's the only person I care. He might not be a household name, Tom.
From listening to our previous episodes, I may be able to guess who this is.
He's the inventor of the foam finger, Tom.
Yes, I thought it might have been the inventor of the foam finger. I think he's basically come up every episode since we've been doing this one.
I think so. Well,
but it's good to be keeping his name.
He's a Thomas Edison figure, and I think more people should know about it. And you got to remember, Tom, that it's not like today where you can just walk into Foam World in Hobart and just buy and get foam to make this foam finger. He had to, this is the 70s. It's not easy to do this. But,
that's right.
So anyway, he's the only view that, and I think we've talked about this before, but this is what he said, Tom, quote, "She took an honourable icon that is seen in sporting venues everywhere and degraded it.
Oh.
Fortunately, the foam finger's been around long enough that will survive this incident." And that's probably fair. I think the foam finger will survive it.
Sure, that's fine.
But the performance is still controversial.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine looking back at it what really... I mean, you watch it, it's incredibly tacky. The song is gross.
Yeah.
But, compared to even bloody, Janet Jackson's 0.6 of a second of, half-covered nipple at the Super Bowl behind a billowing cloud of smoke is ridiculous, but at least there was sort of nudity involved. This is just, I don't know. I think people were just kind of grossed out with it in general. It just seems...
Well, Miley Cyrus at this, how old was she? Was she 20 by this age?
Yeah, it might have been...
Was she out of teen years?
That's
because Robin Thicke's he must be mid-30s by this stage, if not older.
Yes.
Maybe
and he's married, and she's not a child at this point, but people were thinking of her, people still thought of her as Hannah Montana, I guess, and,
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And look, as you said, the controversy around the song, there's a few things. A, there's this performance where people went, that's gross. B, people started looking at the lyrics and going, oh, wait a minute, is this a bit of a...
Hang on, is Miley Cyrus Hannah Montana?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she is, sorry. I get her and Hilary Duff confused.
The sort of, the blurred lines aspect of the song, did people initially think it was kind of, this song's a bit fun? They sort of, it's Pharrell... everyone's not really listening to the lyrics too closely. Then people start actually looking at them and going, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah, I think
I know she wants it.
I think maybe, like you say, because he wasn't big.
Yep.
I'm sure before that VMAs, most people hadn't seen him before, you say, other than this, or heard him with this one song outside of the R&B world. And then Pharrell sort of bringing him into the limelight, and then they had that really tacky video as well, or with a different video, but it's equally gross. And I think at the time, at first, the song was a big success. It is very catchy. But yeah, it didn't have that initial. The people just kind of grumbled about it in some areas, but then it sort of built up to a head, and then doing this incredibly sketchy live version of it sort of might have pushed it over the edge. But
yeah, exactly. And look, when because obviously the criticism did come out, and people were sort of asking, hey, what are these lyrics about? There seems to be a little bit kind of like.
I mean, I've heard worse.
Date rapey. Oh, yeah, of course. So Robin, he clarified
Bad timing.
This. He clarified it, fortunately for us, Tom. He said, it's about how she's a good girl, but she wants to be a bad girl. My wife is Mrs. Good Girl, but gradually over our marriage, I've turned into a bad girl. I mean naughty, sexually, yeah. I won't get into too many details out of respect to her.
Oh, that's nice of
But she likes it all. We've done just about everything. She filed for divorce.
He didn't go into too many details, because otherwise you might have just imagined the grossest thing you could think of and then had it confirmed logically by that stuff.
But out of respect for her, he didn't mention the things. She did file for divorce the next year, though. So
yes. Some people also, second-hand reports did indicate she wasn't hugely impressed with him rubbing his dick on Miley Cyrus's ass in front of a billion people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, maybe she just thought the song was a bunch of shit. That's possible.
Yeah, and also one of the models in the video, Emily Ratajkowski.
Yes.
Sorry, I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Sorry, Emily, if you're listening. She published a memoir where she said that she was, I guess, her boobs were cupped by Robin Thicke without sort of any consent there. So I think she felt...
Oh, during the music video. Which features her topless.
She's topless, yeah, but
several other...
Exactly. Yeah. She felt like she wasn't dealt with by Robin in a professional manner, and I think he sort of did some things that he shouldn't have done.
Much like the live performance, if you haven't... I mean, I'm sure most people have seen the video, but if you haven't seen the video... Much like the live performance, it's not so much that it's the worst thing. I mean, it's no smack my bitch up.
Yeah.
But it's more that it's just kind of perversely tacky. It's just a concrete... It looks like the fucking Terry Richardson Vice magazine shoot.
Oh,
in that
Jesus.
It's a blank concrete wall, overlit, with 3 fully dressed adult men standing in front of it, next to 3 half-naked, voiceless 18-year-old women just topless against the wall while they just ogle them while singing. There is nothing else. There's no narrative. There's no other elements to the story.
Yeah.
They just stare at their tits for 3.5 minutes, which combined with the rapiness of the song doesn't seem that great.
Exactly. Now, Tom, you know how we talked about product placement, and I assume that product placement has a big part in the budget of a music video.
Yes.
So Beats Headphones throws down, put some beats in this fucking music video, gives some cash. Well, the record label didn't even pay for this music video. The cognac brand Remy Martin did.
Oh, okay.
Robin Thicke's a spokesperson for the liquor brand with his wife, and apparently they heard the song and went, this is going to be a hit, we'll pay for the whole fucking thing.
Sure. Well, I mean, they wouldn't have spent a lot on the music video.
No, exactly.
Because there's no costumes.
No.
I mean, literally, in the women's case, you've just got a Klieg light, one camera in a fixed position, and then passing around some bribes to get the girls to get their tits out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously there's the sketchy nature of the lyrics that put people offside, which is one controversial element. Shitty video. And then to make matters worse, they were sued for stealing the song.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was the 3-hit combo. Yeah. Yep. In March 2015, a Los Angeles jury ruled that Blurred Lines infringed the copyright on Marvin Gaye's 1977 hit, Got to Give It Up. Thicke and Williams were originally ordered to pay $7.3 million, but that was later cut to $5.3 million. Now, this has been controversial since, because it opened the door for a bunch of people to start throwing the word interpolated around, which seems to mean not directly lifting a bit of a song, but kind of copying some element of it and using it in a different part of the song played on a different instrument by someone else, which, given the limitations of the physical world we inhabit, means that just about every song can be made to sound similar to another song if you isolate separate parts of them. Yeah. And some people reckon that this has really, had to cast a real shadow over, pop music since. But, hey, either way, I don't think these two songs sound similar at all.
No.
You've listened to them? They
I
really
have.
don't. But their case probably wasn't helped when, during the trial, the juxtaposed bass lines of the two songs in questions were played to Pharrell, and he admitted, it sounds like you're playing the same thing.
Doesn't help.
No, it probably didn't help when earlier, I think in an interview about the song prior to the lawsuit, Robin Thicke said something like, I really wanted to write a Marvin Gaye song, which is not the kind of thing that sounds good in a lawsuit.
Yep.
In a 2019 interview with Rick Rubin, Pharrell said, I think for the most part, what Chad Hugo and I always tried to do was reverse engineer the songs that did something to us emotionally and figured out where the mechanisms are in there. If we can build a building that doesn't look the same but makes you feel the same way, then I did that in Blurred Lines and got myself into trouble. You can't copyright a feeling, which is right.
Yep.
And it hurt my feelings because I would never take anything from anyone, and that really set me back. Now, this is the trouble with using will.i.am's patented A to B songwriting.
I know.
I generally
The A-B.
advise people not to follow will.i.am's advice on any area of your life for any reason. As was established, he's clearly an alien cyborg who crashed on Earth and ended up starting the world's worst band by accident.
Yeah.
So not a lot of his life experiences really apply to you, I don't think,
Yeah.
advice-wise, but yeah. So I'd watch out with the old A-B songwriting method.
Oh, that's exactly right.
But I mean, Pharrell makes the point there. I mean, you can't stop people from liking bits of a song,
No.
or liking the vibe of a song and trying to recapture that. I mean, that Daft Punk song, that would be nowhere without Giorgio Moroder. He worked with them on that album, and yet he's not going through his back catalogue desperately trying to find a bass line that sounds like something in the song so he can score a cheap $5 million.
Yeah, look, there's only 12 notes in the musical spectrum. You're going to run
Exactly.
out of fucking things to do after a while. But the thing with this song, and as you mentioned, Tom, I think you listen to these two songs back to back, and do they have a similar, quote, feeling?
Yeah.
Maybe they do. Yeah, absolutely. There's a similar feeling or vibe or something. But also, one's from the 70s and one's from
Yeah.
the 2010s.
This
The
sounds-
production techniques are very different.
Exactly.
And
This is completely contemporary. That sounds very kind of fuzzy and lo-fi and 70s. Yeah.
so when you listen to them, and if Pharrell says, this song was inspired by that, you can go, yeah, I can see that. But I certainly don't listen to them and go, oh, that's a direct rip-off of this.
No.
And that's the problem here, because it, as you said, it did open up these floodgates where now everyone's just suing everyone because it's like, this bit sounds a
Yeah.
little bit like that.
I mean, ultimately, what you're getting at with these lawsuits is you're saying you stole a bit of my work and used it to get success for yourself undeservedly.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're not saying that, then what the fuck?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like saying, oh, your painting's got red in it and I've used red, so you
Yeah.
owe me money. If the only reason for this to be worth anything in a court of law is because you're unjustly taking someone else's work and using it to generate profit for yourself. But if the songs aren't similar, if no one's making that association in their head, then it's not valid, If
Yep.
no one's liking this because it's a Marvin Gaye song, I mean, you could argue something like Vanilla Ice, that Ice Ice Baby would not work at all. Without,
with the under pressure bass line.
yeah, but
it's
they
the
did
that's-
just take it and then add
Of
something
course,
to it.
of course.
But
That's the main
yeah.
part of that song.
I mean, if somebody has to really draw your attention to it, then I don't know if it's true or not. But
Well, as Steve Chemler said, Tom, he took an honourable icon and degraded it. Fortunately, Marvin Gaye has been around long enough; it'll survive this incident. So, but yeah, look,
sure, the
yeah.
song nobody remembers except Marvin Gaye fans will definitely survive the B-side of whatever fucking single it's on.
Exactly. Lyrics.
Yeah, well, this actually made me feel slightly sympathetic for Robin Thicke, believe it or not. The lyrics were mostly written by Pharrell Williams, who denied that it was about sex, instead saying it was about being rejected. Possibly because he looks a lot less creepy than Thicke.
Yeah.
Pharrell somehow avoided copying most of the shit for lyrics like, okay, now he was close, tried to domesticate you, but you're an animal, baby, it's in your nature, or I know you want it, but you're a good girl. The way you grab me must want to get nasty. or I hate these blurred lines, I know you want it, or had a bitch but she ain't as bad as you, so hit me up when you pass through, I'll give you something big enough to tear your ass in two, or nothing like your last guy, he too square for you, he don't smack that ass and pull your hair like that. Now, what do you reckon, Ben? Personally, I don't think this is any sketchier than half of modern rap or most rock songs written before 1991, but they don't usually get on TV in a Beetlejuice suit and wave it in your face.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Also, having naked, nameless doll women in the video for a song about sexual boundaries would have made Robert Palmer go, Jesus, dude, dial it back a couple of notches.
I think so. I think, yeah, that's the other thing as well. Perhaps they could have, dialed it back a little bit in the music video. The lyrics are sketchy, but you're right. There's equally sketchy lyrics across the board.
Oh,
in
yeah.
kind of songs over time. So,
Yeah.
look,
It's weird when Americans just, once a decade, they just get all
Latch
up in
onto
a
something,
moral
yeah.
quandary. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that 0.6 of a second of half boob. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, really? Was that the worst thing that happened this year?
the interesting thing about the lawsuit was, though, Tom, that when they were in the courtroom, Robin Thicke has a writing credit on this song, and he acknowledged in court that he didn't have anything to do with it. So, because he was like, I was a bit jealous that Pharrell and, I don't know who the other co-writers are. Basically, I think Pharrell did all the music and whatnot and
Pretty
produced
much,
and
yeah.
stuff. And he said, and I was there and I felt jealous, so
Oh,
I demanded
T.I.,
I demanded a writing credit on this to say I was involved in that. And they said that, you're a co-writer of the song, but I'll admit that, I didn't do anything.
Do you reckon that was him trying to get out of trouble?
Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe it was just admitting that he didn't really do anything.
It's
So,
weird,
look.
isn't it?
Anyway, Robin Thicke's got 5 mil on the Spotify. T.I. has 9 mil. Pharrell has 32 mil, as we know.
I don't know the T.I. story, but
We could have gone into it, but there was too much to talk about with Robin Thicke. This will cost you $2.88, so it's bargain basement prices this year. No one wants anything to fucking do with it, I would say.
yes.
Anything else to say about that?
Not really. Kickstarted Emily What's-Her-Face's career, though. So, it's not like,
All is not lost. Yeah. So up next for 6 weeks.
Yes.
It's Avicii. Wake me up with an exclamation mark at the end of that, Tom.
Good to see some punctuation coming
Yeah.
back.
Now, look, I was hoping for...
Avicii featuring Alo Black.
Oh, is there a feature in
There
this?
is a feature in
Jesus, fucking hell, sorry.
It's all right.
I was hoping for an Evanescence cover with Paul McCoy going on, wake me up, I can't wake me up. But I didn't get that, so I was a little bit disappointed. We did get this, though, which sounds like fucking Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, it's a return to that weird, what was it, early 90s bluegrass techno period.
Exactly.
Expect to see a little bit of line dancing pop up in the video.
Look, Avicii was from Sweden.
True.
So and he's in the EDM era, and he's doing a bluegrass fucking thing. You cannot deny that Rednecks weren't a huge influence on his sound.
I can't deny, except for the fact that I'd forgotten that they were from Sweden. But
Yeah,
now you
they
point
certainly
that out,
are.
you're right. Look, this song was first introduced at the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, I think,
Okay.
with the live performance of a bluegrass band, which moved this a bit away from the typical EDM spectrum and supposedly confused and angered some of the crowd, possibly the 3% of it who weren't on 8 bickies at the time.
Yeah.
Because when you're on 8 bickies, bluegrass sounds just as good as everything else.
It certainly does.
It infuses Irish folk music with house beats using vocals from American soul singer Alo Black. Mike Einziger of Incubus provides acoustic guitar. Peter Dyer also provides keyboard on the song. So it is that weird combination of, it's kind of like a fucking Mumford & Sons jam, again, folk music
With some
pushed
Euro
into
beats.
like a arena house thing. It's very odd.
It is, yeah. Look, so Avicii, not his real name, his influences include Bass Hunter, which explains why this is so bad.
I don't remember Bass Hunter.
They do a Christmas a Eurodance Christmas cover, which has to be heard to be believed.
wow.
I think it's
Great.
I'll send you the link. It's fucking great. Bass Hunter are like one of those sort of, I think they're like a poor man's sort of Ice MC type thing.
Okay,
So,
sure.
real shit. But
Did you watch the video?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, there's videos by Mark Seliger and C.B. Miller. It posits a post-apocalyptic 2013 appropriate world where Americans live an antebellum existence in rural hovels, even if they're clearly catalogue models hired for techno videos.
Yep.
In the abandoned cities, however, among the ruins of civilization, a secret society lives on. Avicii fans, recognising each other by their Avicii tattoos, who gather in giant stadiums to worship at the feet of the great man by dancing to folk techno fusion and taking photos of each other on their Sony Xperia branded smartphones that they charge at the end of the day by, I don't know, plugging them up a horse's ass next to a windmill or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, this golden vision of an Avicii ameliorated dystopia failed to come to pass when in 2018 Avicii committed suicide at age 29. Yeah, which was a bit sad. I know a few people who were quite into him. Anyway, several years before his death, Avicii had struggled with pancreatitis due to excessive drinking. In 2014, he had his gallbladder removed as it had ruptured, and he vowed never to drink alcohol again. Avicii also, quote, frequently overworked by spending more than 60 hours at a time within a studio, as well as performing 220 DJ sets within 260 weeks, which may have led to his unfortunate death. Now, 60 hours in a row sounds like a lot, you know, but how much of that time was he asleep for? You know,
Yeah.
maybe he had a bed in his studio like Prince did.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
220 DJ sets in 260 weeks. Now, I'm not Captain Trigonometry, but that seems to add up to less than 2 hours of work per week
Yeah,
for 5
I know.
years.
Exactly.
I'm not saying he wasn't sad. I'm just saying let's not compare him to one of those Japanese dudes who goes down from a stress hemorrhage in front of a spreadsheet in
Yeah.
his office aged 42, you know.
Exactly right. Exactly. Look, I'll skip to the end, Tom, and say he's got 31 million Spotify listeners.
Fucking hell, yeah.
So it is definitely sad that he wasn't able to overcome his mental health issues and did commit suicide, because clearly he has a big fan base and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that enjoy his music. And I'm not one of them. Like, this song's fucking horrible, but there's a lot of people that do enjoy his work. And yeah, I guess it's sad for him that he wasn't able to, you know, he obviously did while he was alive, but wasn't able to sort of get the help that he needed so that he could sort of, you know, still be alive today and see the impact that he has. Because, yeah, he does have a lot of listeners on Spotify.
It's like what we're talking about, Alexander McQueen the other week with Rihanna. I mean, he was 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so dumb that it barely needs me to say it, but it doesn't need me to say it. But this sort of shit really does demonstrate that mental illness exists in a separate thing to, you know, what's actually going on in your life. That, you know,
Yeah.
wealthy, beloved, super rich people also commit suicide the same
Absolutely.
way that povo people, you know, with no one looking after them do. Yeah, it really doesn't matter how many people you've got loving you if you, have got
Yeah, I mean,
brain
it's
problems.
not helped, I guess, by sort of people's still perceptions of like, oh, that was so successful. Why, you know, like, they,
Yeah,
you know,
because
what have they got to be sad about? It's like, well, it's a mental health issue.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
a
get to
chemical
choose.
imbalance in your brain.
Yeah, they don't just go, oh, I'm going to be happy now because I've got a fucking #1 bluegrass techno
Yeah.
hit. So
I mean, with those DJ, this is like talking about, we were talking about Swedish House Mafia last year.
Yep.
The fact that he's got 30 million hits on Spotify, if you're not in this scene, it can be easy to forget how fucking massive these guys can
Oh,
be.
yeah, definitely.
And how much their whole job is just standing in front of giant crowds who just worship, you know, them by the transitive power of music, of
Yep.
course, but, you know, other people's music in a lot of cases, but still, you know, and if that's not enough to keep you up, then, you know, it clearly has nothing to do with that, does it?
yeah, look, to put it in context, he's got the same number of monthly Spotify listeners as Pharrell.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and you know how many hits that guy's got?
Yeah,
a lot.
and he's 29, he would have been a multi-millionaire, you know, his job is having people worship him, and yeah, still, that's
Exactly.
not enough.
What about the lyrics?
Yeah, well, unusually this does have lyrics for a dance song. Alo Black provides the kind of lyrics you'd expect from someone whose name sounds like a hip-hop shampoo collaboration. I tried carrying the weight of the world. Why?
Yep.
But I only have 2 hands. Hey, me too.
Yep.
I hope I get the chance to travel the world. Call Flight Centre, probably, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I don't have any plans. Oh, well, forget I said it then. Wish that I could stay forever this young. How old are you, exactly? Not afraid to close my eyes. I mean, good, I guess.
Sure.
Life's a game made for everyone. No, it isn't. And love is the prize. Do you mean love is the goal? because a prize is what you win at the end of a game. In this case, life, as you just stated. So after you die, you get love. If you win at life by going on a Kontiki tour, apparently. I'm a bit confused.
I think you're analysing a bit too much.
Well, that's why they had that chorus of, what the fuck am I talking about?
Wake me up when it's all over.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Avicii.
Yeah, look, this is his biggest hit in Australia, but he did have
Yeah.
several other top 10 hits in Australia.
No,
so-
I remember he was kind of coming up
Yeah.
into the mainstream, and then just right
Yeah.
at that point, he just, vanished.
Exactly. So, 31 million, as I said, and this would cost you $7.21. So there you go.
Okay.
All right, up next, Tom, for I think only 1 week. It's Jason Derulo featuring 2 Chainz, Talk Dirty.
Ooh, sadly, not a cover of the Poison song. But,
Yeah, I wish it
I'll
was.
put that aside.
Talk Dirty. I wish it was. Look, Jason doesn't say Jason Derulo at the start of the song this time. He has a chick say it for him.
Oh, I was going to say, someone said.
There's a chick, there's a girl that comes in and goes, Jason Derulo. So
Unfortunately, he doesn't yell his suburban postcode. I was hoping for
No.
that, but yeah, at least he's sticking with the yelling out his name. Or,
Now, Tom, I didn't know. I don't know whether you're aware of this, Tom. But I'll let you know. I'm not sure whether you do know. You might do, but I don't know whether we've talked about this before. But Derulo operates in 2 musical modes.
Explain further.
Two musical modes Tom he operates in. You may remember this from previous weeks. We've talked about his 2 musical modes: positive PG romance dance pop
Okay.
and bumping faux crass club thumpers.
I
Now
don't know why he's got the faux there, because either they're crass or they're not crass.
they're yeah.
It's not fake crass; they are crass.
Well, that's the thing.
For instance, this song.
Well, that's what I
which
was
I'm
gonna
assuming is category number 2.
Well, that was my question, Tom.
the title certainly does.
It says "dirty talk," and so I think you're right that this one seems to be a bumping faux crass club thumper.
yes.
There's a lot of lyrics that you're obviously going to look at later. But I think if you're going to say this one, apologise.
No,
But he does
please.
say, "I've been around the world, don't speak the language, but your booty don't need explaining." So I'm not sure. I think her ass doesn't need any explanation. Everyone knows what an ass is. So
I mean, some might say if he'd spent longer than 20 seconds on these lyrics that explaining should have been translating, because
Yeah.
that's what he actually means, but never mind.
it doesn't really matter, but I think that he says that he mentions her booty. I think that puts her in faux crass club thumper territory. I think so. That's the example. But also later on in the show, 2 Chainz and Jason are going to have a 3-way with a chick in Rio. If you recall that part of the song. So I think that where 2 Chainz and Jason are both going to bang a Rio chick at the same time definitely puts it into bumping faux crass club thumper
Yes.
territory. And I think, when Jason was talking about this, Jason said, "The chorus came to me immediately. I channeled my experience touring the world. You don't need to speak the language to communicate. Body language is universal." Can't argue with that.
That's true, although in this chorus, it's just the ass that's doing the talking.
Yeah.
So unless it's an extremely vocal ass, like say she's been on a 3-day-long chili con carne
Yeah.
bender, then you have to imagine that he's inferring some of what the ass is saying.
Oh, no doubt.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, look, if you forgive me just for a second, I thought it might be time for Tom's educational sidebar corner and discount rug wholesaler.
Yeah.
It will come back around to be relevant, I promise. A pre-release cover version is when an artist releases a cover of a song before the original artist does. Now, this usually occurs when an upcoming song receives so much airplay, or receives much airplay despite not yet having been actually released. Now, pre-release cover versions are common in the UK because of the unique situation that songs by big acts get weeks of airplay before being released, typically, giving cover artists enough time for session musicians and computer experts to sometimes record a near-exact cover version of the song and then sneak it out before it's been formally released. It's harder to do in America because in America, the law states that an artist owns rights to decide when their song is released, even if it hasn't been actually released,
Okay.
whereas in the UK they don't have that. For example, the UK number one, Talk Dirty by Jason Derulo featuring 2 Chainz, made number 71 the week before it made number one with this version in the form of a pre-release cover version by someone called Select Hits.
Oh.
Now, usually the original artist's record label will notice the cover version and release the original earlier than they plan to. One example is when Can You Blow My covered Flo Rida's Whistle, see what they did there? Put a bow! And made the top 40 at number 38, causing Aunt Flo's record label to rush release the song midweek in order to pit them at the post. And Avicii's Wake Me Up was intended to be released on 8th of September this year. However, on 15th of July, the official charts company announced that it would be released that week after a group called Spark Production recorded a pre-release cover version and got to 26 on the UK singles chart. And we also talked about how the Spanish Macarena managed to occupy
that's true.
both the number 1 and number 2 spots on the ARIA charts here with an original and a cover, because Australians who aren't cunning linguists at the best of times couldn't tell the fucking difference and didn't really care either way. So my question is, Ben, you've established fairly thoroughly that the cover version is always better than the original.
Correct.
Does that apply if the cover version becomes before the original?
Look,
Is it a cover version if it comes before the original?
I feel like I'd need Einstein's input on the space-time continuum to sort of figure out how this would work, Tom, because there's an element of time manipulation here that wouldn't be out of place in sort of a Christopher Nolan film. But, yeah, look, that's a really good question. I dare say that the pre-release cover is always better than the original. Certainly.
I probably should have actually listened to the Select Hits version of this to check. But
Select Hits, they sound very good. They select only the finest hits, I gather, by their names and release them. So
I suppose you could make the statement that, given that in all of these cases, the pre-release cover was much lower down the charts than the official one, that says that either, 2 weeks is not long enough to work up a convincing facsimile of a song at the same level of quality as the original, or possibly it just shows that without brand name recognition, a lot of these songs are what some might call hot dog shit.
exactly.
And the only reason that they're on the charts is because people go, oh, that's Derulo.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jason Derulo. Do you reckon they,
that's right.
with the cover version, have said that at the start as well?
He should start reading out the copyright at the start as well.
I think so.
Jason Derulo, trademark 2013.
Look, it's an interesting idea, though, isn't it? That in the UK they'll take a song to radio months before the CD single comes out, and then that gives people
weird,
the time.
isn't
It does seem bizarre. Like, it's sort of isn't the whole point like, here's a new single from this person? If you can go to the shop and buy it tomorrow if you like it, or something like that. So it seems pretty weird.
Maybe it's a sort of what's the word? Mutually beneficial relationship with the radio stations where, if the single's not out, then people have to listen to it on the radio.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
they tune in to hear it, but they can't just listen to it at home, or they couldn't before the invention of digital downloads.
Yep.
And then, and then the single gets promo. It gets free promotion from the radio stations and stuff. Maybe
Exactly.
that's why. It does seem weird, though. It seems weird that you don't legally own it until it's been released. Yeah.
Seems completely bizarre. Look, so the song itself, there's a saxophone sample in the chorus, which is actually pretty catchy. And
That's the best thing about the song.
It is.
Yeah,
It's the only good thing about it, to be honest. But that sort of comes in, and that's kind of the chorus in itself, because the actual chorus lyrically is just Jason Derulo sort of speaking, saying, "Talk dirty to me." That's it. So it's really the saxophone part is the hook that gets the kids involved, I would dare say.
Yes, it reminded me quite a bit of Getting Jiggy With It,
Yeah.
which features a similar thing where he says, Getting Jiggy With It.
Yeah, exactly.
And the sample. I mean, as you say, pretty much this whole song is a sample from Hermetico by Balkan Beatbox. Now, the Balkans aren't an area that I traditionally associate with dance-infused hip-hop, so much as religiously inspired massacres and Vlad the Impaler.
Yep.
But clearly they hold a special place in the heart of Jason Derulo. I mean, you've been there, Ben. What do you think that what brings the music out of him so much about the Balkans?
Oh, look, I think Jason, he's just a man of the world, isn't he?
True.
He does identify that even if you don't speak the language, your booty don't need explaining,
That's true.
that body language is the international language. So I think Jason just pulls from everywhere. Tom, he'll travel the world. The Balkans, he loves it. I'm sure he'll go to Pakistan, Uzbekistan, all of them, South America, all over the world, and I think he'll just pull the little bit of musical influences that he likes, wraps it up in the Derulo package, and then say to himself, is this going to be a positive PG romance dance pop, or is this going to be a bumping folk crass club thumper? But within those two musical modes,
Yes.
he can put any influence he wants in there, I think. That's the beauty of Derulo.
Much like Flo Rida, he's a man of the world.
Oh, absolutely right. Him and Mr. Worldwide himself, Pitbull, I think. This has got some great lyrics, Tom.
Oh, look, at the drive-in in the old man's Ford, behind the bushes till I'm screaming for more. Oh, sorry, that was the Poison version of the song. Where are we? Yes, like, after listening to the song, some might say, hey, Derulo, why are you giving 2 Chainz a title credit?
Yeah.
He does fuck all on this song, which you mostly nicked from another song anyway, again. And Derulo would reply that when you're making a bumping faux crass club thumper, it's all about quality, not quantity.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
2 Chainz, like old dirty Chinese restaurant before him, knows how to say a lot with a little. Dos Carinas, close to genius, sold out arenas, you can suck my penis. Gilbert Arenas, guns on deck, chest to chest, tongue on neck, international oral sex. Every picture I take, I pose a threat. Bought a jet, what do you expect? Her pussy so good, I bought her a pet. Now, not sure how you can perform oral sex with your chests pressed together, or whether the international oral sex refers to blowing someone from another country or blowing someone on a plane, or possibly both.
Yeah.
But I will say that this is the first time we've heard the lyric, you can suck my penis, in a #1 song. And he rhymed it with genius. So credit where credit's due, Ben.
Fucking credit where credit's due, absolutely. Now, look, the thing is that as Flo Rida has taught us with his 2 blowjob anthems, round and round when you go down, and then the other one of just him like blow my whistle and the whistling bit, is that Flo Rida's used up all the good blowjob metaphors.
Yes,
he's used them all up.
He was going to run out eventually,
So-
and this is the point where he officially ran
We've
out.
run out, so that's the thing. So Derulo's like, I need a blowjob metaphor. What have you got for me? 2 Chainz, and he's just like, what about spin you around when you go down? He's like, fucking Flo Rida. What about a whistle? Blow the whistle, and he's like,
we've had
fucking,
7
he's
of those
done
already.
It.
Yep.
He's done it. Flo Rida's got in then before us, and he said, what if I just cut the metaphor and just go straight in for you can suck my penis? And Derulo's like, done.
Look, done. Yeah.
So-
You know what the irony is, though?
What's that?
Shortly afterwards this year, he woke up at 3 a.m. and realised that he'd come up with another metaphor that he hadn't thought of and he could have used already here. But yeah, we'll have to wait to see. What
We'll
that
discover
is.
that later. Yeah.
Speaking of sucking penis, what's
Yep.
up next?
It is, sorry, real quick,
Oh, sure.
34 mil for Derulo, that's a lot. 10 million for 2 Chainz, this will cost you $3.90.
$2 million for 2
Yeah,
Chainz. Wow, okay.
yeah, all off the back of this song, I think, Tom. It's Katy Perry, Raw.
Wow. For 9 weeks, that's the longest
it's
one this
a
year,
long
beating
fucking
out
time.
even bloody Macklemore.
Now, the chorus to this, everyone knows it. I've got the eye of the tiger. You're going to hear me roar.
Yep.
This song just makes me want to listen to Eye of the Tiger,
Yeah.
or watch Rocky 3,
Or do pretty much
or
anything
do
else. Yeah.
anything else.
This was, the lead single off Katy Perry's 4th studio album, Prism.
Yeah,
The song deviates from the electro-pop sound on Teenage Dream in exchange for sort of mid-tempo pop rock, trying for that anthemic empowerment vibe that Lady Gaga, Pink and Rihanna all want, which is why Max Martin can now afford to buy the continent of Asia.
Oh, can't he just? Yeah, exactly. Look, copyright infringement is weird, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah,
Because
it
Marvin
is.
Gaye's estate picked up some serious cash, $5.3 million, for something that had a similar, quote, feeling
Yes.
to another song. But here, Perry takes the actual lyrics from Eye of the Tiger And that's okay. Like,
Apparently
did
so,
Survivor not say, oh, wait a minute, she's using the term Eye of the Tiger, which is clearly a reference to the song Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah. She did a song
you know,
called California Girls, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I don't know about Katie. I feel like
she's
if I was
getting
in
away with
Survivor, I would have taken this to court and picked up a few mil.
Is
just
it
for-
possible that she's escaped legal action because nobody wants to go into court and say that this Katy Perry song reminds them of something they did?
People will be like, "Oh, yeah, it might be."
Fuck, let's
actually,
keep that to ourselves.
degrade your own song. People are like, "What? You saying? Oh shit, your song is a rip off of that. Fuck
So
that."
they're getting angry about it, and then the lawyer says,
Yeah.
"You realise they're going to play both of these next to each other in court." I think
It's
they
like,
never
oh,
mind and
fuck.
hang up. And,
So look, this is another empowerment song. I think she's
Yeah,
all
that's
like
sort of
empowered
vague.
about. It's like that firework one. but this is
post girl power
this
thing.
is worse than the firework one. Look, it was written. She said that she wrote this about moving forward into the next stage of her life after what I considered to be at the time the marriage least likely to survive more than 2 years. Hers and Russell
Oh,
Brand's.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
When that ended, I don't think anyone was surprised. I was surprised they got married in the first place. So she said, quote, "Bit of a self-empowerment type of song. I wrote it because I was sick of keeping all these feelings inside and not speaking up for myself, which caused a lot of resentment. Obviously, I've been through a lot of therapy since my last record, and this is what it's about." So
Correct.
there you go. So
Yeah.
look, she got married to some dude that clearly wasn't going to work out, and then they split up, and then
No,
yeah,
they
great.
both helped each other's
gives a
careers,
shit?
presumably had a lot of young, hot person sex.
Yep,
And
and she got this song out of it. So
Yeah.
look, as you said, this is another Max Martin one. No surprises what he
No.
had to say about this, Tom. Max Martin, he said, "When pop culture can influence things in a way, when a song becomes something bigger than just a song,
Jesus.
that's the greatest thing for me. I saw the video where the whole staff of a children's hospital sang Raw, and it was a reminder for me. I have a tendency to belittle what I do.
Not in this interview.
I think
you
it's
know.
a consequence of trying to keep the ego in check. I go, what the fuck are we doing all day when others are working for equality, Syria, battling cancer? But then something like this happens. A song finds its way outside the studio and comes to really mean something to the people. It's not every time that I'm proud of a tune, but I am when it comes to a song like Raw." So, Tom, just remember that when Max Martin's sitting in the studio tinkering away, writing songs like Raw, the empowerment song for Katy Perry, he's effectively doing the same work as a cancer researcher.
Sure. Well, I mean, he could have taken the money that he got for this song, which I'm assuming was in the 8-figure bracket, and sent it to Syria. Perhaps they could have afforded to buy some gas masks for the children
Yep.
over there. Anyway, look, ironically, given that, this might be the most AI-generated sounding song we've covered since I Kissed a Girl, I think, which isn't much of a shock because it was written by Dr. Luke and Perry's longtime friend Bonnie McKee, both of whom wrote Katy Perry's other hits, number one hits, Teenage Dream, California Girls, and Last Friday Night, TGIF, which don't sound so much like jukebox bangers as bangers that were put together by the jukebox, which has attained sentience but only has a reference of the 90 songs that were already contained in it. But yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what to say about this. It's just like, it's piss weak even by the Katy Perry standards, you know.
Yep.
It just sounds like it was written to formula for, not even her, just for any female artist that wanted to pay the most money for a song where they get to sing a chorus that sounds vaguely anthemic, but isn't really, and again, vaguely empowering, but isn't really, yeah. Fuck it.
Well, Max Martin wrote it to save lives, Tom.
True, that's true.
And it did.
I'm
I
glad
feel
it
like.
lifted his spirits.
It
you
did,
know.
yeah, definitely. Knowing that that he is effectively working at the same level as cancer researchers, people working for equality, Syria, doctors, etc., etc.
That's right.
Now, the music video for this is her surviving a plane crash, and then she ends up in the jungle.
Yep.
And look, I think the reason they did that is because I don't know if you know this, Tom, but they have tigers in the jungle, and tigers roar.
Oh,
And
that's
in-
like the
and-
name of the song,
And
though.
in the lyrics, she says she's got the eye of the
okay.
tiger, and the song's called Raw. So I figure that they said, wouldn't it be great if you could somehow be in the jungle for this? So they've
Yes.
done that. So she's in the jungle.
I thought it was a
with all the
coincidence.
raw stuff. So
okay.
it's very creative. I think very, very good. In one part, she gets hosed off by an elephant spitting water out of the trunk.
Yes.
Had to double check Michael Bay wasn't directing this for a second. He does love some spraying cans with water, but alas, he didn't do that. And then she does some Jane of the Jungle shit.
Yeah, I think it was possibly the most organic sheep getting hosed off by a jet of water action that I've seen since The Golden Child, starring Eddie Murphy, where I believe at one point Tia Carrera's just walking down a hallway wearing a white shirt, and just a ninja punches a hole in the wall, which causes a totally normal just hose to come through the wall and just squirt her cans with cold water. I think they're underground at this point in an ancient Chinese temple or something. But, that is one of those things you have to look out for when you're trying to save a mythical golden child in a Chinese temple, is getting your cans all wet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To me, the video looks like a big budget version of Dr. Jones by Aqua.
It does.
Which would be sad and derivative if this was 1997. Now it's sad, derivative, and 16 years old.
Yep.
My question to you is, do you prefer this or her menu log song?
Oh,
I think the original was 18 minutes long, so you've got a lot of gold to choose from there.
the menu log song is possibly better than this, but it's a low bar to get over.
Yeah, so. I know. I'll say that it's more visually inventive in the video.
But the menu log song isn't as good as Swish Swish Bish, basketball song.
God, I haven't heard that.
And Bon Appetit, where she's getting eaten out by the Migos. So it's not as good as that.
Every time we talk about Katy Perry, you bring that up, and I make a mental note to watch it, and then I remember that it's Katy Perry, and I'll have to listen to the song.
Yeah, definitely.
This is boring as hell, and again, it's weirdly sexless, given that she's half naked for the whole thing. It's a special talent that you learn at Christian pop music summer camp, apparently, is how to be half naked and yet about as sexual as a toothbrush. It's very strange, but, Hey.
This is one of her worst songs. I'm surprised it was number one for 9 weeks. It's pretty boring. It's just
so manufactured. And I know that sounds redundant when you're talking about number one ARIA hits, but,
Yeah.
even you can imagine Rihanna singing this exact same song, but then giving it a bit of something. A little bit of fucking curry, but
she'd be dressed in a military outfit or I don't know, bondage gear or something like that. I'm not sure.
Managed to imply that it was about S&M or something, just by force of personality. But lyrically,
she probably changed the lyrics to, rather than "I've got the eye of the tiger," "I've got the arse of a tiger" or something.
Possibly,
she gives it a bit of sexual nature. So.
Yeah, she'd bring in pegging again somehow.
She would definitely.
But lyrically, this is credited to Dr. Luke again. Circuit, which is Dr. Luke's right-hand man. He's a busy guy.
Circuit?
Circuit spelled C-I-R-K-U-T. No, I don't believe we have.
Okay, don't need to.
Bonnie McKee again, Max Martin again, and Katy Perry. There is nothing interesting enough in these lyrics to even mention. It's just a list of cliches pinched from older music and Kmart inspirational posters. As you say, the refrain is just the eye of the tiger, which is from another better song.
Yep.
I think the most apt thing I can say about this is that it's called Roar, but at no point does the singer even bother trying to roar because her voice isn't up to it.
No.
It would be too interesting.
Yeah. They should have done a roar.
Or something, or I don't know. Anyway.
They didn't even bother doing that, which is fucking terrible, yeah. Do you think this gets played in many hospitals and brings people back from close to death, do you think? As Max Martin intended, do you think? Sort of.
Maybe if you were playing it on a tape player next to them, just out of finger reach with the stop button, they might, suddenly develop muscle motion.
Get out of a coma to switch it off. Yeah, that's correct. 44 mil for Katy Perry. That's fucking loads. This is going to cost you $21.67, which I find completely hard to believe, but there you go.
Yeah.
Discogs doesn't lie. Anything else to say about this, Tom?
No, let's move on to something with a bit of
class, finally. Oh, fuck, it's Red Food. Let's get ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
God, the world was crying out for the party rock fucksticks to go solo, Ben, and Uncle Red Food delivers here. Just when you thought you'd heard the last of the annoying to even say aloud LMFAO, they're back. Well, half of them is. Anyway.
Yeah, well, the demise of LMFAO LMFAO unfortunately resulted in a Red Foo solo career, something that I was excited about as an LMFAO reunion. So possibly only a Black Eyed Peas demise and the promise of 4 shit solo albums released simultaneously is less inspiring than this. It sounds like a child wrote this as well. When you listen to the music, the lyrics, everything about it, I'm like, 12-year-old get involved in this? I'm not really sure. What can you tell me about this? Anything to tell me about this?
I was just going to ask, what do you think is Red Foo's idea of ridiculous?
Well, that's the problem. The song doesn't seem... Did it seem that ridiculous to you?
According to the song, it seems to involve wearing brightly coloured clothes.
Yeah.
As he points out in the lyrics of his own song, giant stupid glasses that don't even have glass in them. He doesn't need glasses. He's just wearing idiot glasses. And just being a general cocksnap.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound ridiculous so much as it sounds like being in the Wiggles, who are frankly above this song on pretty much every level, really.
Yeah. Is wearing whack clothes, does that make you ridiculous? I wouldn't have thought so. It looks ridiculous.
It just makes you a tool.
Yeah. Look,
truly.
Weirdly, Tom, this is somehow worse than the LMFAO material that we talked about in the last couple of weeks.
It's bonkers.
So that suggests that Sky Blue must have been conducting some sort of quality control on the LMFAO material.
Again, as we pointed out before, Sky Blue was the younger one.
Yeah.
Red Foo is the guy's uncle.
Yeah, exactly.
So his nephew was actually keeping his dipshit-ass uncle in check.
Yeah, I can't say how much quality control Sky Blue is doing, but certainly some, because
apparently so.
This is no good.
The song, I'll give the song one award.
Yeah,
I'm happy
please.
to hand this out. It gets the Sunglasses at Night World's Biggest Sellout Award, I would say, for the video to this bundle of prolapsed anus. Product placement includes La Freak Streetwear, Beats by Dre headphones, Fentimans Cherry Tree Cherry Cola, Samsung brand smartwatches, Samsung brand phones, Slurpee brand frozen drinks, and Let's Get Ridiculous brand t-shirts.
Yep, there's a lot of product placement.
Yeah, it's filmed at Manly Beach.
Yep.
Which means you get to see Chemist Warehouse and Hungry Jack's in the background. That's about the most interesting thing that happens in the video. Plus, it's been a long time since I've seen a Benny Hill chase montage or a gay panic CPR joke in a music video. But not even that can save this sort of... It's like a sub... Olivia Newton-John physical level video,
Oh, absolutely.
Somewhere underneath all the shtick is a sort of half danceable club song with a couple of fun breakdowns, but they're buried under so much party rock bullshit that I don't know why you would bother. Just listen to the original Harlem Shake again instead. Yeah,
that wasn't great, but it's better than this. Look, I don't have too much more to say about this other than, know where this was a hit, Tom?
God, where?
Nowhere, apart from Australia.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It was a number one hit here, and outside of Australia, I don't think it even reached like top 10 or 20 anywhere else in the world. There's something about Red Foo's party rock shtick that appeals to Australians for some reason, so I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe
he's got wacky clothes. Love that guy.
He's just on holiday in fucking Manly, and then he thought, I can ring another fucking number one out of these dipshits. Yeah. Maybe he heard his 5th Black Eyed Peas radio play that afternoon and was like, these guys will fucking go for anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Clearly they've got very low standards.
Yeah, he definitely didn't get ridiculous enough for my liking.
No.
So, Red Foo solo, he's got 1 million listeners. This is going to cost you $7.16. Great lyrics, Tom. Hit me.
Look, like all his songs, 90% is just repeating the title with woo in between. But
all heavily auto-tuned as well.
Yes. He does briefly pause to say, all the time I be seeing you at school and you so fine, I just had to play it cool. Which, given that he's 38 at this point, clearly indicates that Red Foo's been hanging around primary school playgrounds with binoculars and needs to be locked away.
I'd say so, yeah, for sure. Absolutely right. I think it was probably about this time that we mentioned this the other week, that guy threw a glass at Red Foo's head. So.
Yes, and the more of him you see, the more you start to empathise with the glass thrower, frankly.
That's the thing. I think the more songs that he releases, the less chance the thrower has of being convicted, because there's more evidence for the judge to look at and go, I tell you what, I think you were provoked. I think it was sort of more... The glass was more self-defence than anything, I would suggest.
Truly.
So 1 week for that. Then after that, there was another couple of fucking weeks of Raw from Katy Perry. People seem to love the shit out of that. 9 weeks total, as you mentioned. And then we're on to 4th of November. Danny Im, Alive.
Wow.
Ooh.
What's Axel suggesting here?
Oh, Tom, it's more tepid bullshit from DNA Songs for a start. And Dummy is the... look, I guess I'd be fair to say this, Tom. Correct me if I'm wrong. Australia's most popular Korean-Australian X Factor winner who subsequently represented Australia in Eurovision of all time.
Oh, she's definitely up there, I'd say.
For sure. So,
sorry, it's Dammy, isn't it? Dammy.
Yeah, Dammy?
Not
Dammy?
Danny.
Dammy,
You
with
want
an
to
M.
say Danny, but
Yep.
it's, yeah.
So you played the Axel because she won X Factor this
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Absolutely. And speaking of awards, let's give Dammy the least original title of the decade to date for this
yeah.
one. Wikipedia alone lists 54 different non-cover songs just called Alive, not to mention 31 different albums, 4 EPs, at least 2 international tours, and a Meshuggah concert video, all called Alive. The songs alone include Beastie Boys, Bee Gees, S Club 7, POD, J-Lo, Cheap Trick, Daft Punk, Korn, Meatloaf, Oasis, and Goldfrapp, and all of those came out before this did. It's also just a fucking stupid name that conveys absolutely nothing whatsoever. If you want to convey the bare minimum distance between you and a rock, at least call your song something more original like Currently Breathing or Metabolizing McDonald's into Turds or something like that. I mean, for Christ's sake, I don't know what else to say about that. Alive.
Yeah.
It's like calling your song Love.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Song itself is pretty bland, but I don't really expect much more. When someone says X Factor winner, it's written by DNA Songs.
Yep.
You know, it's going to be the most AI produced blandest bullshit. That's just like let's just get it out there, and it'll be number one off the basis that the winner from X Factor is going to sing.
Even compared to the earlier reality TV show irritating crap we were doing from the start of the aughts.
Yep.
In the last 5 years, apparently they've just gone, fuck paying singer-songwriters, we'll just use DNA songs.
Yeah.
So the last 5 years, they have all been quite directly written by the same couple of dudes.
Yep.
You know, so apart from the fact that they all sounded the same before that anyway, now they are straightforwardly written by the same people.
Oh, absolutely, it's terrible.
So yeah,
absolutely terrible. So now, look, what do we know about Dummy? We know she won the X Factor. Mm-hmm. We know that she did Eurovision. Are you going to talk about Eurovision a bit later? Something to say about Eurovision?
No, not really. You tell me about Eurovision. It was a bit of a mystery to me. This.
Well, look. The thing about Eurovision, Tom, is that it's the premier song contest for countries that are part of Europe. Occasionally they stray from the course. I know Morocco's performed there before, but look, Morocco, they're just a short boat trip away from the very tip of Spain, aren't they?
For any Americans listening, by the way, Australia is not actually part of the continent of Europe.
No,
that's Austria you're thinking of, where Arnie comes from.
They let, I think they let Azerbaijan in there. Look, all the places that aren't technically in Europe that they let go in Eurovision, they're close.
Shouting
they're geographically
distance,
close. Australia's on the other side of the world, but for whatever reason, in 5 or 6 years ago, I think, they just let Australia be in Eurovision. We said we want to be in Eurovision. They went, you're fucking nowhere near Europe, but you can be in Eurovision. So they did that.
we are technically still a colony of England.
Yeah,
so
that's close enough, I guess. Fuck, I don't know.
Almighty.
So anyway, Dummy represented Australia in Eurovision, and she came second when she performed. So almost won. It's safe to say Australia's never won Eurovision before, but she got very, very close. So, so that's what we know about Dummy.
Yep.
Eurovision, this song, X Factor winner, and she's a foodie, Tom. She's a big foodie. She loves food. She loves all the different foods, all the different types of foods they've got. She loves them all. She's a big foodie, loves all the foods. And she's Korean, as we mentioned. She was born in Korea. Her family moved over to Australia. So she's a Korean-Australian, loves food. She's a big foodie. But don't worry, she doesn't fall into any of the typical stereotypes, Tom. Her favourite food is Korean fried chicken.
Wow, that's like a joke from Kath and Kim, isn't it?
It is, but
shout out to Danny for keeping it relatable, I guess. Also, nobody's fault. The answer is obviously kimchi. They take fucking baths in that stuff over there. It's obviously the nation's favourite food group, so yeah.
Yeah, but her favourite food, as she's quoted as saying, is Korean fried chicken. So
I think she's just...
You think she's lying?
I think she's just hoping for a gammy chicken / nene chicken sponsorship.
I think she is, definitely.
I think there's 17 different Korean fried chicken branches on this block alone.
So exactly. So I was very surprised to hear
I'm not
that when she
complaining.
said, but no, that's it.
Anything
And that's
that puts more fried chicken into the world is good with me.
yeah. So I found it quite relatable as well when she
Yes.
said that was her favourite food. So no, I was totally on board with that. But I just found it interesting because I'm just like, oh, she's a foodie. It's not going to be a cliche Korean thing, is
Sure.
it? And it's like it's probably like you meet a Japanese person, go, what's your favourite food? And they go, oh, I just love sushi. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
or
fair
something you've never heard of. Oh, my
Yep.
mum makes this amazing thing. You can't get it over here.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, maybe she's thinking that when her career gives out, not that I'm saying that an X Factor person's career
No.
might dwindle away to nothing, but should that happen, she might be able to get a job on YouTube doing mukbang.
Oh.
You familiar with mukbang?
Just
It's
crushing as much food as physically
yeah,
possible.
it seems to be very popular with the Korean styles of food where it's like unboxing, except instead of a surprise present being opened, it's just someone stuffing food into their
Yeah,
face.
it's good.
Man, unless these Gen Z are onto another level and have invested in their smartphones so heavily that they're now able to actually taste food through their phone.
Yeah, it's sort of, I don't get watching a lot of food stuff. I'm not sure, but anyway, people love it. Look, so Dami, she's an ardent supporter of Compassion Australia after Eurovision 2016. Many in the industry advised her not to do this,
Oh, really?
but she went to visit her 8th sponsor child in Uganda. So she's
okay.
got eight sponsor children. During the trip, Dami hosted a concert for 200 children in Uganda, and it was live broadcast on Facebook. She said her trip to Uganda was grounding to her and gives her purpose for what she does in her life and work. Now, that's all good and well, but do you think those kids in Uganda give a flying fuck about someone from X Factor Australia coming over and singing some bullshit? I'd say fuck no. They'd be a lot happier if I flew them in some zingers. That's something they'd remember for life, I dare say.
Yeah, maybe she brought a few buckets of no-no chicken.
She might
when
have,
she
yeah,
went
exactly. It is
over
her favourite food. I don't know, it seems a bit self-indulgent to sort of go, I'm
Yeah,
going to meet my sponsor
it
children,
does
I'm going to
a little
sing them some songs.
and
I
then
don't know.
broadcast it all on Facebook.
I don't know. I don't think those kids care.
Yeah, maybe not.
Look, she performed this song at the closing ceremony of the 2018 Commonwealth Games, so you know it's good. They don't let anyone do that.
Yeah.
You have to be a big star. I can't recall, John Stevens being allowed to play Hot Chili Woman at the closing of the Commonwealth Games. The next Commonwealth Games, Tom, it's actually back in Victoria in
really?
4 years' time, 2026. In the regions, I think it's going to be in Bendigo, and because no capital city wants it anymore. And if they're not getting Roxas to perform Bad Boys at the closing ceremony, then there's something seriously wrong with the organisers.
Is that
of
the
event.
one where they drive in on the front of a semi-trailer at the start and then jump off the back?
I think it might be.
Doing leg stretches and
Yeah.
hamstring. Yeah.
That is it's a great song. Yeah.
God, I know what you mean. Every time I think we're done with the X Factor twats, another one pops up
Yeah,
to
exactly.
smack down. It's like playing whack-a-mole with human turds. It's vaguely satisfying, yet I feel somehow soiled afterwards.
Yeah.
I suppose, unlike a lot of X Factor winners, Danny can sing pretty well.
She can. Yeah.
As her placing on Eurovision demonstrates, they do have novelty songs, but generally there is an element of actual musical talent involved. But that still doesn't magically join Wagga Wagga to Finland,
No.
so not sure what she's doing there. I get the feeling at first that Eurovision was somehow flattered that an entire continent was desperate to become part of it.
Yeah.
And then they sort of humoured us for a couple of years, and then, they got a bit of the old overdose of Guy Sebastian, and now they'd rather if we just stuck to watching it and getting high ratings as opposed to
Actually
chucking in,
being in it,
yeah,
yeah.
whatever fucking X Factor winners we've got crawling out of the woodwork.
Exactly. Lyrics. Hit me.
I'm coming out from the shadows, shooting straight like an arrow. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down, yeah. I'm gonna flow like a cool breeze, stand taller than a palm tree. Ain't nothing gonna cut me down. Sorry, just kidding. Those are actually lyrics from the Katy Perry song Raw, which is essentially identical to this song. If you swap a few notes, drop the production budget 80%, and substitute the word alive with the word raw, I'm just kidding again. This is actually the song Alive, or is it? Perhaps it isn't. Or is it? The only way to tell would be for you to carefully listen to both songs.
Yeah.
So, off you go and do that. I'll wait.
Yeah, this is unmemorable as hell. Dami has 170,000 Spotify listeners. Fantastic. There's none for sale on Discogs, and it's never been sold. 5 people have it in their want list, though, Tom. So
I thought there'd be
if you
some sort of
find-
X Factor compilation.
if you find a CD single
I
of
mean,
this,
now that's what I call Eurovision or something.
five people are prepared to take it off your hands if
Sure.
the price is right, Tom. So yeah, just 1 week of that. Up next is oh fucking oath, it's Taylor Henderson, "Borrow My Heart."
Axel, God, we just... Oh, no, it's another one, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good heavens.
Now look, credit where credit's due. Dami did win the X Factor.
Yes.
So congratulations to her. This cunt's just the runner-up. This is some more folk revival dog shit
I
from an
know.
X Factor runner-up. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should be listening to
No,
this.
look, I'm already biased against this song because, like you, I really don't like folk pop in most cases. For me, folk music it's like anime scat porn, you know? Sometimes it gets the job done in isolation, but as soon as you start combining it with other genres, you run into trouble, you know? Mumford & Sons can ride their rag and bone cart off a short jetty as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they can fuck off.
Yeah, as such, I'd call this Piss Week Strumathon not worse than their average B-side or from Passenger earlier this year.
Yep.
Like, it's less complex, but it's also shorter, and it's also less of a self-pitying tug fest than that one.
Yeah, look, at Taylor Henderson, at least he's not going the Mumford & Sons route and dressing like an 1800s farmer. Like he's
No.
he hasn't gone full bullshit.
No,
but,
they've just pinched the style as opposed to the actual,
The aesthetics,
likewise,
yeah.
the video doesn't look like it.
So yeah, look, so he placed third on Australia's Got Talent in 2010, Tom, and then decided to have another go at it 2013 on the X Factor. Now, I think it should be possible for the High Court of Australia to issue an injunction that prevents people from appearing on multiple talent shows, as nobody needs this, I dare
No,
suggest.
really.
Now, Australia's Got Talent, a show whose title should be punctuated with a question mark. His audition there was with his father, Tom, who performed under the moniker Father and Son.
God almighty.
Now, the lack of creativity in their duo title should be a clue as to the blandness of their music.
Yep.
They did choose to cover the Michael Jackson song Man in the Mirror, which is a song about a man having a conversation with himself about if he should stop sexually abusing children or not. So it's a questionable choice to begin with from the father and son. Anyway, the dudes that were judges on Australia's Got Talent said, maybe you guys should not perform together anymore. So I was hoping that would mean that they would be kicked out of the show, possibly kicked out of the country, extradited to somewhere overseas. But alas, he was able to continue performing by himself. Could only make it to third in Australia's Got Talent.
Wow.
But then here we are, 3 years later, he gave this a second shot. Now, look, on a positive note, the folk revival has really died down, meaning that, you know, there's nobody looking for a poor man's Mumford & Sons and Passenger anymore and thinking to themselves, actually, I need a poor man's Passenger too. And as such, Taylor, he hasn't released an album since 2014, and hopefully it stays that way. I don't think anyone's looking for this anymore.
Sure, or at least I hope he, moves into a musical genre that's not folk pop, for Christ's sake.
Now, I'm not sure if you saw the music video, Tom.
I did, yes.
So, in the music video, the barista makes a love heart in the latte art.
Yep.
So Taylor thinks that she wants to bang him, but hot tip here, bro. There's only like 3 things you can do with latte art. There's the heart, there's a flower thing, and like a swan. So if you get the heart, it's just because the chick, it's not that she wants to suck your dick, it's just one of the only 3 options, and the other 2 are significantly harder to pull off than the heart. So if you get the heart in your latte, it's just fucking part of making a
God damn
latte.
it.
But
Have you
Taylor's
had
like,
any idea
she's
how
gonna
much
bang
money
me.
I've spent on edible underwear just sending to anonymous baristas? But I
Yeah,
wish you'd told me this
yeah,
earlier.
I'm sorry.
Look,
Now-
the best thing I can say about this is that the video, without any context, successfully convinced me that he was American. Like, I watched it before I looked it up. They very carefully edited out any local references or any visual cues that might make you think that he was Australian. And he's doing a very good sort of transatlantic folk pop accent.
Yeah.
Seriously, I reckon this sounds like it could be the next single from Passenger, who's 15 years older and grew up on the other side of the planet. So, I mean, I guess credit successfully disguising yourself to someone who'd never heard of you as not someone from a reality TV show in Australia who came third after trying to get into it with his dad first and failing.
Good fucking move. Yeah. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
I mean, often they try that trick. You notice the Reese Masturbator tried that several times and failed. It's harder than you would think for someone who lives in a country. It's hard to visually draw out all the things because there's stuff in videos that you don't even notice.
Yeah,
it's giving it away. But I thought he legit did it in this one. So
what would you would you buy the CD single Daft Punk featuring Masturbator? Would you be?
Well, Daft Punk can save just about anything, but yeah, that is a tough.
Is that like a Tarantino, John Travolta style?
Yeah,
do-over?
I think we've talked about that before, haven't we? Yeah.
Now, his follow-up album, not the one that this song came off, was titled "Burnt Letters," which I assume means letters he sent to some chick that ended up burnt. And she didn't want to read his fucking whack as hell lyrics. The first lyric in this song, Tom, is, quote, "Love is a feeling you feel."
Yeah, that's
now you can fuck right off. I assume anyone who opened a letter received from Taylor would have taken one look and read it. "Dear Sarah, love is a feeling you feel," and then immediately threw it into a fire.
Yeah, good old DNA songs coming at you again. No, it wasn't actually DNA songs.
Wasn't.
No, it was written by Louis Schul, Alex Hope, and Hayley Warner, who also wrote "Good Night" for the Reese Masturbator.
Oh,
she went on. She's the one who started off writing songs. No, she started off in X Factor, then went on to writing songs for X Factor, then finally ended up achieving the heights of musical success, which is writing a B-side for Nickelback.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
But yeah, back then she was just writing lyrics like, "You can keep borrowing my heart, take it or leave it, it's yours to decide, break it or keep it, you're safe, and I won't let you go when your world's in the dark, you can keep borrowing my heart, love, when will you lend yourself to me, oh if you give it up, I promise I'll return it to you safely." Now, as you can see, whatever X Factor pays songwriters is not enough to include a consistent point of view, a consistent object under discussion, consistent internal logic, or consistent person/concept being addressed. If these twats asked to borrow my heart, I'd assume they were either talking to the guy next to me on the bus or suffering a masturbation-induced psychotic break of some sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about, seriously. I didn't hate his I didn't hate his kind of vibe that he gives off in the video.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of young enough to seem sort of blameless, but yeah, everything else about this is pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, this sucks shit. Look, he's got 140,000 listeners on Spotify.
That's
now,
not
Tom,
bad for a X Factor winner of or bronze.
It's not too bad, but I've thought about this and I posit this as the reason. People have got on the Spotify, they want to listen to Taylor Swift, they've typed in Taylor and then they've accidentally pressed the wrong button and then they've gone, what the fuck is this?
Yes.
And then Taylor Henderson gets a play and that counts. So I think that probably happens 130, 135, 140,000 times a month. And then he actually has no listeners because I can't imagine anyone wanting to listen to this. Discogs, none for sale. Never been sold. One person has it in their want list. So there's one dude out there who is just waiting for this to go on sale. I'm not sure who that is, but anyway.
No one tells him that you can, watch music on YouTube or he's
Well,
going
that's
to get a
true.
rude shop.
That's true.
What's next?
All right, up next, Tom, Eminem featuring Rihanna, The Monster.
Ooh, right.
Now, how many fucking times have these two teamed up?
Well, this is their fourth,
Is it?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and his fourth single from this album, the Marshall Mathers 2 LP.
Yep.
So, yeah, 4 times they've, and at least one other number one that we've covered. So,
Yep. Now, it's a case of diminishing returns for me, Tom.
You think, okay.
As this one isn't as catchy as that Love the Way You Hurt one.
Love the
Rihanna's
Way You
chorus
Lie.
in that was, Love the Way You Lie was a bit better. The Rihanna hook in that song was quite catchy,
Yes.
but his rapping, they didn't quite meld well together.
No.
This is kind of the same thing, Eminem sort of emotional rapping and then the chorus. But how do you think they handled it this time?
No, I agree with you. I agree. Eminem goes back to the big female vocal chorus well again, which he's been doing since Dido whenever he needs a mainstream hit.
Yep.
Once again, there's a few issues with the clutch crunching gear changes between his super fast raps and the chorus, as you said. But yeah, I agree. I reckon they've gotten better at it, certainly since the first version of Love the Way You Lie. But I do think that one has a bit more punch in terms of subject matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This just seems to be a sort of generalised, I've got a dark side that comes out in my music thing, instead of the much more disturbing, I'm occasionally violent with people I love sort of confessional that he was doing in Love the Way You Lie, especially when the person doing the chorus is the subject of, domestic violence as well. Yeah. Compared to that, this is just him sort of, doing his, I got a dark thoughts shtick, but yeah. The hook was co-written by Baby Rexha and John Billigan, and the song went on to win the award for Best Rap /Sung collaboration at the 2015 Grammys, which is 2 years away, so I don't know, it must have hung around for a bit.
Forever.
I mean, we are getting towards the end of the year, but still, that's, a year and a half away.
It's interesting that Rihanna and Eminem have done 4 collaborations at this point, yet none about him being anally penetrated by her with a strap-on dildo.
Maybe that's where they draw the line.
Yeah, maybe. The video, Tom, it appears to be, am I correct in this, it's just a video made up of his older videos.
Yeah, it's kind of lazy.
So she plays because he's, at the very start, he's in like a straight jacket, mental home, and Rihanna's like the doctor, I guess, or something like that. And then he just seems to have flashbacks of other videos he's done in the past.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, it's sort of him watching a series of disturbing images in fast forward on a TV, science fiction style, but it's hardly a Clockwork Orange. He's not he doesn't have his eyeballs propped open or anything. Really, you just wonder why he doesn't change the channel to Antiques Roadshow or I'm a Celebrity, Stop Fisting Me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think maybe the trade-off with that, that Rihanna says, okay, I promise I won't write the chorus about pegging, but in return, in the videos, I refuse to dress up as a series of wacky celebrities.
Yep.
So whenever they do a video together, he has to come up with something that's not just dressing up as a series of wacky celebrities because she's not going to play ball.
Yeah.
So then instead you get these kind of, what is it? Well, the guy from Oasis said every director thinks they're making fucking Apocalypse Now. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
If Rihanna was your doctor, do you think you'd be visiting with a little bit more frequency? Do you think a lot of people would be pretending, their kids, Munchausen's by proxy type thing, their kids have just got some illness just to get in there and see Rihanna every day?
It's not like she's afraid to get her cans out. They really missed a trick with some George Costanza-style sponge bath action at this, I know,
exactly.
He could have him in one room being all serious and then her in another room, changing the sheets.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't sure whether Eminem was just feigning. Sorry, the point I was trying to make is
hoping
Eminem
that she'll lean over with
was he feigning his mental condition just so that he's like, oh, that Rihanna, she's all right, to try and go in and see the doctor a bit more? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they could have merged the two concepts together. You could have the first 2 minutes, this really dour, grimy, 8 Mile style, 9 Inch Nails looking video, and then halfway through it just busts out into the old wacky comic book style thing. He's hallucinating Dr. Dre dressed up as Batman and Robin again and stuff. Rihanna's running around Benny Hill style, the hospital in a short nurse.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Uniform.
Borrow from the Red Foo video.
Yeah, exactly.
Just have Rihanna sort of chasing Eminem around, and then in one bit his pants fall down. Yeah. It's like,
there's nothing wrong with ridiculous videos. It's just that Red Foo wouldn't know ridiculous if it poked him in the nose.
Which is ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So look, this is anything more before we get on the lyrics?
The lyrics, by his standards, are fairly straightforward. As I said, it's mostly just the old shtick of, look, I'm doing it tough because my brain's all hard. Yep. I think in this one, the idea is that he's conquered his demons. Like, it's I'm friends with the monster instead of I'm haunted by the monster. At one point he says, and stumbled onto Jeff Van Vonderen because I need an interventionist to intervene between me and this monster and save me from myself and all this conflict, because the very thing that I love's killing me and I can't conquer it. My OCD's conking me in the head, keep knocking. At first I thought this might be one of his trademark wacky, ironic cultural references, but it turns out that Jeff Van Vonderen is actually an interventionist. He's an ex-pastor who was on a reality TV show called Intervention and appeared in South Park at one point. Now, I don't know whether Eminem's had an intervention or whether he's just a big fan of C-list reality TV. I mean, he did grow up in a trailer park, so I'm guessing the answer is both, probably.
Could be, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, possibly at the same time. Yeah. No, that's about as much as I had to say about that one. By Eminem's lyrical standards, it's fairly mundane, really.
53 million
Yeah.
listeners, Eminem, and 52 monthly Spotify listeners for Rihanna. So
Wow,
100 mil
yeah.
for those two combined. Good stuff.
That's nuts.
This will cost you $28.91.
Yeah. I mean, at that point,
Crazy.
they'd be getting close to the two biggest stars in the world,
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Pop music, anyway.
So it's going to cost you $30. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's the most expensive one this year.
I think so, yeah, absolutely. All right, up next.
Up next, what have we got?
All of Me by John Legend.
Yes, this is the third single from John Legend's album Love in the Future. It became his most popular song, at least in Australia, earning an 8 times platinum cert in the USA and hitting the top of 9 different countries' charts, including the US Billboard Hot 100, where it was number 1 as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, John Legend as a stage name, you're putting yourself out there, aren't you? It's a bit of a big deal.
Certainly in
before
Australia
you've
you
fucking
are,
done
yeah.
anything. I'm a legend. But apparently someone else who heard him sing before he'd taken off said, yo, you sound like one of those old legends. Like, I think his voice had a bit of a characteristic of one of the older type croony legend guys.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
him and Kanye were sort of friends and collaborators before they both were famous. So I think Kanye started calling him John Legend, and just ran with that as a stage name.
Sure.
Why not? Why not? This is an emotional ballad, Tom. Very emotional. What's it
sure
about?
is.
What can you tell me about it?
Well, I mean, it's tempting to hate on this because it's a bit of a soppy love song.
Yep.
But it's really just an old school, straight up romantic ballad about how much he loves one specific woman, e.g. his wife, Chrissy Teigen. Because he obviously does love her and she's a real human being and they got married this year and are still together with 2 kids. It does actually feel real and genuine, even if you don't particularly like the song. You can't sort of argue with the sentiment inside
Of
it.
course.
Yeah,
Of
it doesn't
course.
sound like it was written by a machine, at least. So
Yeah.
that's something.
By Chrissy Teigen, do you mean the same Chrissy Teigen that former President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, called filthy mouthed while he was still in office? Do you mean that
Yeah,
Chrissy Teigen?
she's a bit of a fucking gun on Twitter, I think. And
Yep.
yeah.
He did call her filthy mouthed, and I believe John Legend responded with, imagine being president of a whole country and spending your Sunday night hate watching MSNBC hoping anyone will praise you. And it's and he's sort of bang on there. It seems weird for the president of the USA to be watching television
yeah.
and then just tweeting at people he dislikes.
I mean, he was on Twitter for 4 years, and
Yeah.
I don't think in that time he managed to realise that when you post something on Twitter, it comes up with the time that you posted it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that if you're taking a huge KFC 21-piece, blood vein struggling shit on the toilet at 2:30 a.m. and also tweeting out on a Tuesday morning,
Yeah.
that people can tell that that's what you're doing.
Just sitting on the shitter.
While you're supposed to be the president, you've got nothing better to do at 2:30 in the morning than
Yeah.
call fucking ex-supermodels filthy mouth.
Oh, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Trump also called John Legend boring. Is he wrong?
Well, you might be closer to the mark there, but sure, it's not exactly thrills a minute. I mean, I find it a bit hard to judge him because he really wasn't as big over here as he clearly was in America.
Yeah.
So really, this is the main thing I know him from, and from being married to Chrissy Teigen, and So I can't really judge whether he's boring or not. This song's not a thriller minute, though.
Oh, look, I think in the Cheese Factory it's pretty high, but as you said, it's a real life thing, so, it's sort of about his
Yeah.
wife, which is nice.
It's also worth pointing out that Donald Trump's favourite song is YMCA, and he's a homophobic piece of shit, which means that, again, taste in music aside, he's been listening to this song for 44 years now without realising that it's openly about picking up gay dudes at the gym.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think this could have benefited with a few Euro beats in the second half.
Definitely.
I think at 140 BPMs it really would have come to life. Look, nice of him to use his wife in the music video. Chrissy Teigen does feature in this. And look, it's good because, if he's cupping her cans in this, which I think he might have been, I can't really recall, but if he was, you know that she's into it. Not like a Robin Thicke video where cupping the breasts in the video is most likely sexual assault, and any consent would probably just be a Stockholm Syndrome type scenario with Robin Thicke. So that was nice to know that there was no sexual assaults taking place on the camera. So, which is good.
Yeah, look...
I think, what did he say? I think John Legend mentioned the first time that he sang the song to Chrissy Teigen, she cried.
Yeah, I think he does in the video at one point too.
And I say that I get the same reaction, whenever Red Foo plays his songs to his partners for the first time on CGS.
Or anybody, really.
But it's less in a, that's beautiful, and more in a, what the fuck have you done type of thing when Red Foo plays his songs to people.
Yeah, I know. The first time I heard Butterfly Kisses by Bobby Carlyle, I also cried, but that was mostly caused by the acidic fumes wafting up off the carpet from my stomach bile, where I, power chucked onto the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, tears can mean different things.
They can, look. So, Legend married Chrissy Teigen this year, 2013, in Italy. He sung this song to his bride during the nuptials. Fucking hell, he's getting a lot of mileage out of this thing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is it like Seal singing Kiss to a Rose every fucking year to Heidi Klum and her just going, I've had enough of this. Birthdays, weddings, all that
shows
shit.
that your European supermodel has a higher tolerance for being sung the same ballad a lot. Than
Exactly,
most people.
like Chrissy. It's 10 years on now. I'm interested now if Chrissy Teigen, if it's like her birthday, and he just comes out and goes, "Oh me," and she's like, "Oh fuck, not again. I've had enough." But maybe she still loves it. Look, the music video was directed by Kanye West, Frank Ocean, and Bon Iver.
Oh, really?
Yep, black and white video shows scenes from their honeymoon in Italy. And I assume the reason they did that was so they could write off at least part of the wedding on tax purposes.
Yeah,
so.
it sounds a lot like Kanye West, Frank Ocean, and Bon Iver just really wanted to go to Italy on holiday, because if there's any indication that any of them directed this, which is mostly just black and white home movies, essentially, of people, good-looking people standing in front of naturally good-looking backdrops, then, I couldn't tell it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, would I prefer a power ballad with a cliff-top solo and 3 verses analogizing love to a nuclear meltdown?
Yep.
Probably, yeah. But then I did grow up in the 80s, if a singer isn't wearing leopard print downhill skiing tights, I just don't feel like I can really trust them. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah, all of these hot people in a spa thing, I just don't know where I sit, really.
Yep. Lyrics.
Co-written by legend and German writer-producer Toby Gad, who you might know from his work with Hannah Montana on Big Girls Don't Cry for Fergie, or the worldwide smash hit Cinderella for Daughtry, a.k.a. the poor man's Hinder, sometimes called the poor man's Nickelback. What's your favourite verse from Cinderella, Ben?
Cinderella? They're all very good.
How do you pick?
It's hard to choose.
Because you're my Cinderella and I'm your kind of fella. I want to kiss you there and tell you you're so hella good looking tonight. Some said Gad couldn't top himself after that, but working with John Legend inspired the duo to new heights in All of Me, such as Give Me All of You, Oh, Cards on the Table, We're Both Showing Hearts, Risking It All, Though It's Hard. This song is dorky but earnest. It's hard to fault, really, because it's so straightforward. We've both been to more than one wedding where people try to write their own vows, you know what I mean? So I'm sure you'd agree that the median setting for human men trying to verbally express the concept of affection is pretty fucking low.
Yep.
You know, if you can write a song for your own wedding and hit number one in 9 countries without quoting from 50 Shades of Grey, Wind Beneath My Wings, or How to Write Wedding Vows, help lastminute.com/incorporate John Farnham if possible, then I think you've done pretty well.
I
really.
think he has done very well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is there anything worse than I've written my own nuptials?
God almighty. And
Yeah,
then I'm going to
mate.
inflict them on a captive audience of 100 people, whether
Yeah.
they like it or not. It's just like,
Exactly.
I think most people would rather hear a bad tape recording of the fucking wedding night than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think because people are sort of, I guess the whole idea is you get a pass because you're the groom, so it's sort of like you can do, you know, people won't judge you as harshly.
That's
but,
right.
Yeah,
And obviously the bride's going to like it because she's chemically programmed to be into it, but yeah,
Yeah.
everybody else just has to listen.
terrible, exactly. So 21 million for John Legend.
Wow.
This will cost you $27.27.
He must be huge in America.
yeah.
He really must.
I reckon
yeah.
he operates in the Robin Thicke sort of territory of more
Yeah.
less mainstream, sort of
Yeah.
more like adult contemporary and piano shit that needs more beats. Obviously,
He really hasn't been as big here. It wasn't until like researching this song that I had to finally confirm that I'd been getting John Legend and for some reason Ryan Adams confused all this time.
Oh no!
I was like John Legend, Jessica Simpson, and it was like, did you mean Ryan Adams? It's like, oh, okay, he's black.
Probably did.
They're not even the same. Yeah, anyway. All right, what have we got?
Confused.
What have we got next? then?
Last song for the year, Tom.
1 week.
Thank fucking Christ! Yeah, 1 week is this. Jason Derulo's back. Trumpets.
Oh,
Trumpets.
See, this is what I mean. He woke up at 3 a.m. and went, trumpets! It's like a blowjob. I could have used trumpets.
I could have used that. Yeah.
Look,
Yeah. Pump it on my trumpet. Something like that. I don't know.
blow.
Now, Tom, I'm not sure if you know this, Tom. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Jason has 2 musical
Oh,
modes.
really?
Tom.
What would those be?
He's got positive PG romance dance pop.
I'm listening.
And the other one is bumping faux crass club thumpers.
Oh, okay.
So they're the 2 musical modes that he
Faux
operates
crass.
in.
Okay, sure.
So, interesting though, this one isn't a positive PG romance dance pop.
No.
But it's also about dicking. The lyrics there's a lot of boning in the lyrics. So perhaps it's a bumping faux crass club thumper. But
Well, I suppose he
I don't know
did
if it
say
is.
he operates in 2 musical modes. He doesn't say that he necessarily operates in them consistently for the length of one whole song.
that's true.
So maybe he's got a switch on his keyboard of
Yeah.
musical modes and he can just instantly transition halfway through.
Yeah, look, that's a fair point, perhaps, that he is sort of using both modes in one. But I think what we're seeing here, Tom, is we're seeing the growth and the maturity of Jason Derulo as an artist.
See, yes.
I think now what we're seeing is that he's actually operating in 3 musical modes.
Okay.
He's got positive PG romance dance pop,
Yep.
bumping faux crass club thumpers, and bumping faux crass dance pop.
Wow, he's going to have to get a new keyboard.
So, which this single seems to be in that latter bumping faux crass dance pop sort of genre.
Mm-hmm.
So this suggests to me, Tom, that in the future, if we're seeing, one of these musical styles, creep into another,
Yeah.
that in the future he may also be operating in the positive PG romance club thumper territory. Which would then be 4
modes.
musical modes.
Fucking hell.
Now, has anyone since Prince worked in 4 musical modes?
Not that I know of.
No, I'm not saying that Jason Derulo is the new Prince, but he has to be in the conversation with these 4 musical modes.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, look, did you watch the video for this?
I did watch the music video, Tom. It's a very good music video. The top comment on the YouTube video is, quote, "People that dislike this song should get their COVID test because one of the main symptoms is no taste." You like that?
I think that's a pretty good burn. I mean, you could change dislike to like and get exactly the same joke, but still, not bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying that this video is every bit as tasteful as Jason himself.
Oh, yeah.
And we know he's tasteful because he's introduced in the video lying in bed with his French bulldog underneath a large naked photographic portrait of himself,
Yes.
watching a music video of himself on a TV. The decor is a style interior decorators call "If Dolomite Was Gay," which is an interesting choice for the year 2013. Yeah.
Absolutely. He's also doing some sick moves in an alley.
Yes, he does do some pretty rad dancing in this.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
dancing along in the alley. In one bit, he does a flip off a wall.
Yep.
Another bit, he's hanging off a window. Mm-hmm. So, he's got all the moves. And, yeah, it's great. Great.
Look, I've heard a rumour, you might be able
Yep.
to confirm this or not, but that Derulo works in 2 modes, Ben.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
that true?
Yeah.
Well, my theory is that this is actually, at least in part, positive PG romance dance pop.
Okay.
And I would like to point to the evidence that the smoking hot woman in lingerie rubbing herself on him for the entire video is the only one in the video,
Okay.
thereby demonstrating that he is a one-woman man.
Okay.
If you see what I mean. Or one woman and a dog and a large framed nude portrait of himself man. Anyway. Also, when she's on the stripper pole after 90 seconds, it's a classy private stripper pole,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
in a very small one-man strip club that Jason has set up in his mum's basement.
Yep.
Because this isn't about other girls, Ben. This is between him, his cigar, and her oscillating tattooed cans.
True.
You know, in his mum's basement.
So you're saying that perhaps this is positive PG romance dance pop, in which case he is only operating in 2 musical modes, or you think...
I think you're right. I think the 4 modes theory is true, but I'm saying the video at least
Yeah.
has a romantic element that the trumpet-related lyrics may not necessarily lend themselves to.
Yep,
He's
exactly.
made a conscious decision to go, hey, normally I have 17 nude chicks rubbing themselves
Yeah,
on me. This time
true.
I'll just go with one.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. It is a song about monogamy, I would suggest, definitely. Now, when we listen to... so the other one had... The first song that we talked about had that
Yeah.
catchy sort of brass bit in it. And he does a sort of similar thing here in this song,
Yes,
doesn't it? There's
very,
a lot of
very
samples
similar.
in this with a brass instrument sample bit in there. But lyrically, he's comparing his female companion to other songs.
Yes.
So
It's
that's
kind of a weird decision.
so it's the concept here. And look, I'll credit where credit is due. It's sort of an original
yeah.
concept, I guess. So, so in one buddy says, "Is it weird that your ass reminds me of a Kanye West song?" Which song is it? Closed on Sunday? Is it that Kanye West song? Perhaps doesn't take shits on Sunday. Isn't prepared to be penetrated. I don't know. Is it weird that your bra reminds you of a Katy Perry song? You reckon California Girls? The bra is currently spraying whipped cream over Jason Derulo? Do you
I
think
mean,
that
I
could be?
guess, sure.
For sure. Is it weird that your eyes remind me of a Coldplay song? Is it Yellow? The Coldplay, if that might just be fucking jaundice, Jason Derulo, I'm not really sure. So that's what he does. He compares the different
Yes.
songs and sort of goes on. But he could have gone further with the concept, I think.
Yes.
You know, given that this is a bumping faux crass dance pop, why doesn't the vagina get a reference?
True.
You know? Is it weird that your snatch reminds you of a Britney Spears song? Toxic? I don't know.
Oops, I did it again.
I don't know. Oops, I did it again. Is he a Kenny Loggins fan? Is it weird that your vagina reminds you of a Kenny Loggins song?
Which one?
Danger Zone? I don't know. Do you think he was a Baby Animals fan, Son? Do you think he's a fan of Australian rock group Baby Animals? Is it weird that your vagina reminds me of a Baby Animals song? Shaved and Dangerous? I don't know. So there's options a go-go that Jason could have gone with this concept, but he didn't. He stopped.
That's right.
Probably because it is a positive PG romance
Yes.
dance pop.
And I get the feeling like he's comparing this same woman's physical attributes to
Yeah.
different people, but he's focused on her.
Yeah.
You know, he still thinks of her exclusively as a collection of body parts,
Yeah.
but at least they're all attached to one woman, because that's the kind of romantic that he is.
He does, yeah, exactly.
I've got to admit, I did find that really weird. I don't know a lot of Kanye West songs. I found myself thinking, oh, there must be a Kanye West song about asses that I'm not aware of. But I don't know if there is.
There's one, I can't remember what it is. I think it's one of the ones off the Jay-Z. I'll have to find it, yeah. But I
And
wasn't
like
quite
you
sure.
say, I mean, it's weird your bra reminds me of a Katy Perry song. Like, you say if it was your tits remind me of a Katy Perry song,
Yeah.
you'd be like, well, she's got her tits out in half her videos. But like, the bra one, the only one that could be is California Girls, but it's not an especially erotic thing,
No.
unless he is one of the lactation fetishists that we've discussed,
Yeah.
you know.
Look,
Earlier
the
in
concept.
the
He
decade.
starts off with the concept, and I'm fine with it because it hasn't been done before. But he's got
He gets a bit
arse,
carried away.
bra, and eyes. So he
Yeah.
he hasn't gone for 3 body parts. He's gone for 2 body parts and an item of clothing.
That's right.
And also, I can't imagine she's wearing the same bra every day. So it's sort of, it would be a bra. That, I don't.
Maybe he had boobs in the original, and then he was like,
Is it weird that your cans remind me of the Katy Perry song, and they went, "This is positive PG dance pop.
Yeah,
you got to fucking
make it
you got to
bra."
make it bra."
Sure.
So, yeah, which explains the non-use of vagina or asshole as well.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I think you've gone over. They're the most interesting lyrics.
Yeah.
Was co-written with Derulo and John Bellion again, who also did a lot of work with Bieber. The chorus I found slightly odd. Haha, yeah, is it weird that I hear trumpets when you're turning me on? I mean, yeah, it is, bro. It is weird. You should probably talk to someone about that, or stop mixing Viagra with PCP, possibly.
I'd say so.
It's not a normal reaction to cracking a fat. It's orally hallucinating trumpets.
Oh, look, I think if, her ass reminds me of a Kanye West song, he's definitely on some sort of
I
drugs.
quite like it in the video that while he's staring at her ass on the stripper pole,
Yep.
and then he says ass, it cuts back to him just in case you're not sure what he's talking about, and he makes the sort of Hungry Jack's hand gesture just to establish, the exact thing that he's after, in case you were confused.
Definitely. Look, I'm excited by this one, Tom, given that it does show that we might get some more musical modes out of Derulo. I have a feeling we're going to hear some more.
I've
of his
forgotten how
stuff,
much he troubled the charts in the 2010s.
Yeah, exactly right. And we haven't even thought about what happens in his declining years when he starts releasing the other musical mode, boring shit, which is a distinct fifth musical mode. Because Sam Smith operates strictly in boring shit.
He
doesn't
does,
So,
yeah. I'm still waiting for the Derulo Flow Rider crossover.
Oh.
Would that be like pushing two positive ends of a magnet together? And they're just so similar.
Yeah,
That,
it's oil and water, Tom. They're not going to mix, but
or oil and oil. It's just too much fucking oil.
Exactly. Look,
You throw Pitbull in there, and you can have a bath in oil.
Well, that'll be some research during the week, Tom, to see if they have teamed up, because maybe it was just so good that it just sort of people
Wasn't
couldn't
on
handle
the
it.
arias. Yeah, it's possible. Sure.
Indeed. So, I already mentioned Jason, 34 million, $2.82 for this, one of the cheaper offerings of the
Yeah.
week if you want to pick that up. And that's it for 2013,
Yeah,
Tom.
it is.
Now, the biggest song to not reach number one this year was Royals by Lorde,
Yes,
which is probably better than almost any of the songs on the charts.
Yeah,
this week, so.
that just brought her out of being she was really young, like 15 or
I think so.
16,
I think
a
so.
New Zealander. It's not often that 16-year-old New Zealanders jump straight to the top of American pop charts, as with the song we discussed last time, Thrift Shop.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of out of the blue songs in a genre rejecting all the existing sort of things of that genre, lyrically at least, e.g. that everything has to be blinged up and excellent, and then becoming massive successes. So
Exactly.
kind of weird, but yeah.
Exactly right. All right,
Anyway.
well, thank you very much for listening. You can watch the music videos.
I was assuming you'd want to talk about how Beyonce's new single is the start of a Eurobeat renaissance, Ben. I assume you're working on an essay about that, and we'll get to it at some point. Yeah, sure.
You mean Beyonce's 2022 single? That's
Yes.
what you meant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a
I think the
Eurobeat
whole
renaissance.
album's, yeah, clearly. I'm just hoping this leads to, a tour for Melody MC at the very minimum.
Oh, fuck yeah. I hope that Melody MC just does get in on that. I hope she probably guests on a few songs on the new Beyonce, Melody MC, hopefully Ice MC as well.
Hope I don't die without seeing the words featuring erotic.
Yeah, erotic.
Beyonce.
Whoever did I'm Horny, was that T Moose or whatever it was?
Moose T.
Moose T. Hopefully they'll come along. And of course, DJ Sammy.
Yes.
All my favourites. Yeah, all those guys.
Favourites. All right.
Yeah, definitely. Alex Party.
Hadaway.
All right, thank you very much.
I can't resist that button. Sorry. He's so into reggae.